You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Is Mexico City warm?
Cold at night, hot during the day, beautiful in the sunshine, chilly in the shade. I mean, it's still early morning. Well, not early. I mean, it's like 10 o'clock here. In the shade, it's like probably low 70s, high 60s. In the sun, it's like beautiful.
Oh, that's
Beautiful.
not bad. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, the sun, it's a high 70s. And then by the time conference time starts, it'll be in the 80s. So, yeah, compared to what we've been getting back home in New York, I mean, it's paradise.
Oh,
Really
I believe
is.
it.
Yeah, sun is shining right now. Beautiful day. I'm in the venue. But cold at night. I always say that. So anybody who's coming down, I stress, realize it gets cold at night. Beautiful during the day, perfect living conditions for a human. You can basically walk around naked during the day. But in the evening, it gets very chilly. It gets very chilly in the evening. So be warned.
Bring yourself a sweater or a light jacket.
Like I woke up, I mean, I came in from New York last night, and New York is like Arctic, like literally Arctic temperatures. Super high winds, I think below zero wind, like with the wind factor, wind chill. And I showed up, and last night I was like sitting on the roof with Alaska, and I was like cold. I was putting my jacket on. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, why do I feel so cold right now? Which I was surprised, considering I just came from such a cold place. I thought I would like feel warmer, given that it wasn't that cold, but. And then I went to bed last night. I woke up in the middle of the night freezing, like because they don't have heat in the rooms, so you gotta like dress appropriately for sleeping. Make sure you have like a blanket on. It's like kind of perfect sleeping conditions, but you can't be sleeping with just a sheet. It gets cold. It's like it drops into the 40s, and
Yes.
there's no like real heat in the buildings because it doesn't get much colder than that. So. Be prepared for cool temperatures at night and perfect, beautiful, warm, sunny days during the day.
It's been pretty cold here too recently, although it's thankfully warming back up a little bit.
Yeah, it's been the whole U.S. right? It's been freezing. So yeah, anybody that's coming down from the U.S., you will enjoy the heat of the day and the sunshine for sure. For sure, get recharged. I was just sitting in the sun for 10 minutes actually. I already feel recharged. But yeah, super excited. I just got in last night. Going to start coordinating here on the ground. Obviously, we've been coordinating for weeks already, for months. Just tying up some loose ends. But we're ready to rock and roll. We got a ton of speakers on board, ton of projects on board, sponsors. Super tremendous thank you to Cake Wallet and Edge for being the main stage sponsors. Without them, this would not be possible. Big thank you to Zano for stepping up again and being a large sponsor. They're sponsoring the VIP dinner party. Sold out, by the way, for VIPs, but you can still grab a GA ticket. And then also thanks to Beldex. They're also a large sponsor this year. Honestly, I know very little about them. Looking forward to learning about them at the conference. I don't think they're going to be presenting, which is interesting. They didn't want to present, even though they got the top, one of the sponsorships that comes with the talk. But they're going to have a stand here. They'll be approachable. People will be able to go talk to them. So I will certainly be talking to them because I'm looking forward to actually learning about them. I mean, I know very little about them, and it's interesting because they're one of the top tier privacy coins in terms of market cap. And I don't know, shortwave. I think we're pretty in on the privacy coin scene. Do you know a lot about them? I know very little about them. It's like
I'd honestly never heard of them.
it's like an under the radar thing. I mean, they have a larger market cap than I think some of these other privacy tech projects that we talk often about, which is really interesting. Like, I don't know what that's all about. So looking forward to getting to know them. I think there were some Monero devs that were involved in their project, but I don't want to put out misinformation there. But I do remember from like interviews like years ago, the name coming up and not knowing about it then. So yeah, looking forward to learning more about them, and I'm thanking them because they did take one of the larger. They basically are. We made them a virtual conference sponsor, so that's one of the larger sponsors, and that's why we're providing the virtual conference for free this year. So thank you to them for that. And actually, another virtual conference sponsor, we're also labeling them a virtual conference sponsor, is Bitmain. So Bitmain actually jumped on board, which is really interesting. So we'll see how the Monero community handles it. But this year they're going to come in person. They're going to give a talk. I've been speaking with them off, on the side. They really want to engage with the Monero community and understand, have a better understanding of what the Monero community essentially is looking for from Bitmain.
I'm wondering if this year if they're going to have somebody who can speak English a little bit better. Because
they are because I've been talking to him, and it's somebody who actually knows about the X9. I think he's like the project manager for the X9. He's like one of the leads on the project. So it's not just some salesperson or person who doesn't know anything. Which it was very nice that they sponsored. I think was it last year or the year before?
Last year.
It was last year, and then the person they had on, like, it was very vanilla. They weren't even talking about the fact that they were working on a Monero ASIC. But this year, they're going to have somebody who's well informed, somebody who I've been speaking with. He's going to give a presentation on the X9 and why he thinks, advocating for more mining in Monero to raise the hash rate. So that's the angle he's taking, right? He wants to see the Monero hash rate go up. He was talking about the cubic attack. I had some interesting conversations with him. Obviously, he's a little concerned that Monero is looking to now boot the machines that they built by tweaking RandomX. But he also then seems like okay with that. And I was, explaining to him the ideals of Monero, wanting to be essentially one CPU, one vote. And I think, they're embracing it. They get it, but they still want to build hardware that can be used for Monero mining. So I guess, I don't know. I guess we'll see how it shakes out in public when talking to the community. Maybe some good things come from it. He's like, well, how can maybe we earn more credibility in the community? He wants to get Bitmain to start donating to Monero development. I taught them a lot in talking with them. Like, they didn't even really know how Monero development works, how the funding works, that there is no dev tax and all that. They're learning a lot about Monero as they go through this process. But the reaction isn't that they want nothing to do with it. It's that they want to supply mining equipment for Monero because they see it as a project that will be one of the top proof of work mining coins from here on out for the foreseeable future. Like,
Personally, I don't see a problem with them supplying mining hardware since it's not an ASIC and it's not like tens of thousands of times more efficient than your general CPU. Yeah, it might be like 2 times or something like that. That's one thing, but to have 1,000 or more, that would be the problem.
Right. The concern is that they'd be producing ASICs and they would. I'm getting an echo. Oh yeah, there you go, buddy. The concern is that they'd be producing ASICs, using them to mine on their own, and then selling them after the fact, and cornering the market and gaining too much power and influence in the mining industry in Monero. But given how Monero is structured, that shouldn't be possible, and Monero will continue to evolve towards not allowing that to be the case. And so, as long as they're willing to work with that, sure, produce produce plug and play Monero miners.
I think they might have to focus on a slightly different market, though, because of the fact that we're not going to have like big companies mining Monero. I think they really need to focus on like the hobbyist home miner and
Exactly.
make like devices that can be used as like a space heater. Because I'm sitting here, you know, next to my bed is my 700-watt space heater, and I'm like, I would love it if I could plug in an 800-watt Monero miner and recoup some of the electricity cost.
That's what I've been talking to them about. So tell them that I would even be interested in, you know, helping out that, perhaps partnering in ways and helping to grow that. You know, when I was with Nodo, that was one of the things I wanted to do. So who knows? Maybe Bitmain's the one that does it. I mean, they have a lot. They have a lot more scale. They're able to produce these things at a much cheaper cost. They have, you know, the ability to source all the hardware that's needed. If they see, you know, being able to, you know, potential being able to profit by selling these as residential home independent Monero miners, they see a market there. Yeah, I think that'd be great. Yeah, if these become right.
Because see, I can't plug a 3,000-watt miner into my outlet here. It would kill my circuits. But I can plug in an 800-watt space heater, and that would be great.
Yeah, little plug and play Monero space heating miners.
I could connect it to my P2 pool, and that would be wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, I got my CPU that I had somebody custom Mike Tech. He made it a couple of years ago, and I mine on that in the wintertime, and it works well. I mean, I get a few cents a day. I don't know what the latest is on it. But yeah, I mean, if these things are going to be the most competitive version of a miner you can get, aside from trying to build your own and being super technical, I mean, it's why not? The more players, the better, as long as it's not leading to some, you know, ASIC scenario. And
I agree.
That's really a problem. That's an us issue. That's not a them issue, right? It's kind of like the same with chain analysis companies, right? We could sit and bitch and moan that they exist, or, you know, but the idea is to build a protocol, a blockchain that's not susceptible to their ways. So it's not about asking Bitmain, please don't build an ASIC. I mean, we're not here to have people do us favors. We're here to build a protocol where they can't build an ASIC, right? Because obviously the powers, you know, if the incentive is there to do so, they're going to do it. So we need to continue to focus on that. And so I think it'll be interesting, and we'll see what comes out of it. I mean, if at the end of the day this turns into Bitmain providing CPU miners that are at competitive rates and people are buying them, and then they're also giving back to the Monero community by making donations to Monero development, I see that as a win. I'm sure somebody will have some conspiracy theories as to why that's horrendous, and I'm open to hearing why. And I'm sure that will come out at the conference as well. We'll have all those talks out in the open. I don't know. I'm sure even Bawdy might have some theories as to why it's not a good idea. Bawdy, are you there?
Hey.
I don't know. Hey, what's going on?
It wouldn't be a good idea. Oh no, I've got echo.
Yeah, you got echo. Fuck.
Hang on one second.
Oh yeah, see what you can do.
Plug in his headphones.
See what you can do on your end there. So yeah, guys, big show today. Even though oh, go ahead, buddy.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm having the same problem where, for whatever reason, this browser is particularly, like, you guys cut out every like 5 seconds for some weird reason. Anyways, what was the question? Ask me a question.
Yeah, sorry to throw you on the spot there. I was talking about Bitmain. They're participating in the conference this year. I don't know if you heard our whole conversation. Did you hear what we were talking about?
Yeah. I heard. I mean, I got the idea right. Bitmain's got their miner, and it's more powerful. We don't know how much their investment cost was, whether or not they've recouped it. Really, I'm cutting out. That's not good.
Yeah, you cut it out a little bit. I mean, but basically the question was like, what's the argument to be had as to maybe why we wouldn't want to see Bitmain start to produce these miners, and, you know, potentially give back to the Monero community.
I mean, it's obviously we don't want them to have an outsized portion of the supply or the rewards. That's that's even a negative for price. It's like a temporary positive when they pump the coin to offload as many coins as possible, but when they're done offloading their coins, right now they're just going to sell the price back down. And that could be a factor in what's happened here. I'm not convinced of that, but it could be.
Right, but I mean, but why Bitmain? How about any other CPU? Like they're just putting CPUs together and mining with them, right?
Yeah, I mean that's true. But again, it's like you said it earlier: one CPU, one vote. And if you're able to gain efficiency by creating a special miner, then you're not really in one CPU, one vote anymore. You're
but like,
Bitmain,
right. So I guess
one CPU,
my
3 votes, right? And
right. But is that on Bitmain to do something, or is that on Monero to make it so that they can't do that, right?
Well, no, I mean I don't think anyone would say that Bitmain has some responsibility to make less money. I don't think anyone would take that position. That would be untenable.
Right. So that's what I'm getting at. So like I see it as a positive having them participate and communicate with the community, because they're going to do things anyway. So might as well bring them into the tent. And if it turns into them doing things where they sell miners, right? Because they win over the hearts and minds of the Monero community. And then they're also giving back in terms of donating to development, then maybe it turns into a positive as opposed to having Bitmain out on its own, doing this mining and the Monero community being upset with them. Like they're doing it anyway. Maybe by bringing them into the fold, they'll make some adjustments on their end that will make the Monero community happier about what the equipment is that they're selling, while also then giving some of their profits back and by way of donating to development and stuff. That's my thinking. Oh, I don't know if we lost Bawdy. Yeah, we did.
And he's super laggy too. So
yeah, he is. All right, so bottom line is they are sponsoring this year. They're going to be one of the virtual conference sponsors. So super thankful to them as well. And because of that, the virtual conference will be free. So guys, get the word out, spread the word. It'll be 4 days of nonstop talks from essentially 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. at night. Obviously, if you come down here in person, there's still time. That is the most amazing way to experience Monerotopia. But if you can't, you'll be able to watch it at home. We'll stream it on X. We'll stream it just like we do the Monerotopia show. You'll be able to send XMR chats. We should have that working pretty seamlessly this year, since it will just be a normal live stream. So you'll be able to ask your questions on XMR chat. And hopefully I'll be able to, bring those up during Q&As. And yeah, it should be awesome.
Do you know
great way to get the info out.
Do you know by chance if it's going to be streamed on Rumble? I've been having some YouTube issues recently where I think they're trying to kick me off for using non-compliant software or whatever.
We're going to certainly try to stream it on Rumble, but it's always a pain in the ass because every time we start a new stream, it's like we got to reset up the Rumble thing. It's really weird.
Oh, that's irritating.
Yeah, that's the only reason why sometimes we don't stream there. With X and YouTube and Facebook and Twitch or these, it's like you just set it up once and you click stream and it goes on all of them. You just have to add them and they're good to go. With Rumble, it's like you got to reconfigure it every time.
Which one does the XMR chat use? The Twitch stream, or which one is it using?
It's using Twitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, I think I'll be fine. Because as I said, just YouTube has been causing me some problems where I'll be like watching a video and be like in the middle of it. And then it's like, no, sir. And then kicks me out of the video or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. So we're certainly going to try to do that. I think we will. We'll be able to do it. So, but we'll definitely be on X. We'll definitely be on YouTube. But yeah, we'll try to put it up on Rumble as well.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Give me 1 second, Ray. Sorry, had to order my coffee there.
Gratuitous coffee?
No, this is the cafe that they have at Worth Aroma. They built this a couple of years ago. It's beautiful. don't know if you, this is the cafe area. So a lot of people will be hanging out here, I'm sure. That's the dome. I don't know how well you could see it. And then back in there is where the marketplace will be. I could walk around a little bit right now.
Are you going to have gratuitous this year? I know you had the machine or whatever. I think it was last year.
Yes, we will. Neil is our gratuitous guy is coming down. He's bringing the coffee that he freshly roasted, and we'll have gratuitous coffee flowing free for everybody that attends the conference. Because you get a mug, the GAs get a mug, the VIPs get a mug. So GAs, everybody will have free coffee.
The only thing better than coffee is free coffee.
Yeah, and we'll have it. And here's the they have a marketplace going on this weekend. So obviously it'll be the same deal, but they'll all be Monero accepting. The vendors are really rocking and rolling this year. So that's, I don't know. Well, it's very dark in here, but here's the dome. This is where all the magic will happen, all the talks. I don't know how well you can see right now. It's very dark. And yeah, the vendors finally get it this year. I think the word has kind of spread. So we have them in a WhatsApp group.
Cerrado, sí, por favor.
Okay.
Por favor.
I'm not sure what's happening right now. I'm being told not to go this way. I think they don't want me walking around, I guess, because they're fixing things up. They're not open yet. But anybody who's been here knows that's the whole market. Okay. Okay.
Por favor.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy is. He's not one of the people that we know here. So yeah, it's all coming along. The vendors are all signing up because we're sending them a little bit of Monero in the WhatsApp group. Sunita is doing a fantastic job onboarding all the vendors. So it should really be rocking and rolling this year. So yeah, all good things. I guess we should jump into price report. And then, I don't know, Sunita, are you there? What time do we have our guest coming up?
Yeah, I told him after the price report. So, Bawdy, you ready? I don't know what he keeps saying.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, cool.
All right, yeah, Bawdy, if you wanna jump into price,
Yeah,
please
I'll
do.
take a segment, and then
Sure.
you have
Let me,
your
we should roll the
wanna
credits,
share
right?
your screen. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna play the segment now.
Yeah, and then we have Ray coming up after that as our special guest, Ray Youssef, who will be at Monerotopia.
The Master Chief.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, privacy-first multi-chain swap aggregator designed for seamless instant swaps. Exchange XMR instantly with the fully non-custodial, KYC-free experience and secure execution across hundreds of blockchains. Okay.
Alrighty.
All right.
I am getting an echo. I mean, I'll mute myself, but
Yeah, I'm having a weird. I think it's a browser issue. I don't know exactly what
yeah,
happened.
I know. I
but,
see that.
It started last
Okay,
week
it's good
where,
now.
like, you guys, your voices just cut out for no reason. For like
really?
every 5 seconds. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
and it doesn't seem to be happening on a different browser, but I had problems with that browser just now. We won't get into all the technicals, but yeah, I'll try and troubleshoot this week. Okay, so yeah, we've had some pretty interesting action on the price. I think everybody probably knows about it by now. We've had a pretty big fall off. Let's see, that's XMR BTC. Let's go to XMR USD. Yeah, I mean, we've had a pretty massive fall off. At this point, I think that we have to assume that a big part of this launch up to the top side was, I mean, they say it was a hack. At this point, you know, I basically suspect, I think every one of us at least suspects that there's a lot of nefarious stuff going on in the background in cryptocurrency, and it would not be surprising at all if this pump was, you know, orchestrated in one way or another that has less to do with some hacker and more to do with, I don't know, whoever might be in the background trying to manage Monero's price. That doesn't really matter, you know. On the long term, I guess we're still doing pretty good. As it turns out, Bitcoin's in a bear market, and it has been since October of last year. It was hard to see. It started becoming a bit more clear. Really right around January 15th is where it started to say, wait a second. After the MSCI decided to allow Bitcoin treasuries companies to stay on the index, and yet things didn't really pump. So, we kind of, that was the moment that things were supposed to break out, right? If they were gonna, then they should have. And that just didn't really happen, right? There was kind of like, there's a little bit of movement up, but as we talked about, this pattern that we saw here is almost identical when we talk about this guy, right? Where there was sort of this almost all-time high, or it was an all-time high, and then this pattern, the pullback pattern, was exactly the same as the summer from 2021, and then we made a marginally higher high, and then we set the exact same kind of bear flag pattern. So the whole chart was like almost identical in a way to the 2021 bull market, except for we didn't get the mad gains. What happened? We went from 80,000 to 125, right? What is that, like 50% increase from the previous all-time high? Peanuts, right? That's nothing for what Bitcoin has historically done. So part of the good news there is that maybe if we're lucky, we will get a muted bear market, right? Maybe we won't get the kind of minus 85%, minus 75% down. That's a possibility. To that end, I have actually redone the regression analysis. So this is the old regression analysis. It currently sits at 50,000. That was before. Let's go to the weekly so this becomes a little bit clear. That was before we integrated this low right here, right? The bear market low from 2022. So the price there, if we want to like take it at the very lowest, we could say 50,000. If we were to go to the new version, let's close this a little bit. If we were to try and integrate that data, let's get rid of the all of the other lines. If we were to integrate that data, then we're going to end up seeing something like this, which may be right around 54,000 as of today, or it could be as high as 60,000. We might have actually already touched it. Now, that sounds like equivocation, and it kind of is. So in the process of playing with this the past couple days, I realized something. There is a when you shift to a log axis, which is what you have to do if you want to have a linear regression. When you shift to that log axis, what you do is you say, okay, every day from some starting point is +1 on the x-axis. Now, when I started this, when I started the regression, what I did is I just simply took the very first data that we had from the BLX chart, and that's July 18th, 2010. That's the first day of data that's available from the BLX chart. Now, so that's how I ran the regression. Now, when you go to the crypto BTC USD chart, what you'll see is that obviously I did something wrong because I can't talk and type at the same time, I guess. Crypto BTC USD, is that it? There we go. I missed a P. All right, so if we go to this chart, then what we see is that the first day is somewhere like October of 2009. And so it's a bit long-winded the way that I've said this. The problem is that if you start the chart here, and even though I chop off all of this data, because this data is not valid, this is like, how much did some dude pay for Bitcoin? How many Bitcoin did some dude pay for a pizza? And this is also like, what was the cost of electricity, right? That's not a valid price. That's not valid price data. That's more like an estimate of, I don't know, of something, but it's not like an actual traded price. There was a Bitcoin exchange, I can't remember what it's called at the moment, but they were setting up their exchange and having these crazy wicks, like minus plus 50% in a single day. And then right here, that day, let's see, what is that day? That's October of 2010. That day is, you can clearly see that's when something launched. I don't know if they turned on an algorithm. I don't know what exactly they did. But whatever happened at this moment is, in my belief, the thing that has been a persistent algorithm that has helped to move and define Bitcoin's price for quite a long time. And I think a lot of it is, how high can we push the price, right? How high can this thing get pushed out? And that's why we get these massive blow off tops. Don't get me wrong, the plebs help them out, right? Plebs are always involved with these big blow off tops. You can't get them without the plebs buying. Anyways, the point is that there is a little bit of fuzz factor here on the regression analysis, and the way to correct this is I have to treat the date that I start the chart, because hypothetically I could put any date in here. I could start the date like all the way back at like 2000, right? And we could say, okay, this right here, this is day 1000 from some arbitrary start date, and then calculate from there. It's kind of arbitrary which date you want to select. But because of the nature of doing a log conversion, especially on small numbers, until you start getting up a little bit higher, you get these weird kind of spread effects. And so it's a very nuanced thing that I didn't realize when I was doing the chart, and then it became clear to me as I was trying to redo the lower regression boundary. So I have to actually treat that as an input variable, and that gets a little bit more complex, which I'll do that at some point so that we can get a hopefully a slightly more tuned lower regression boundary. Again, it's just statistics, guys. If there's a fundamental change in the Bitcoin market, or the risk appetite, or any, like, whatever is going on maybe behind the scenes with Bitcoin, if there are fundamental changes, statistics aren't going to tell you that that's going to happen. So just, again, I always want to caution you guys to understand this is a lower boundary statistically, but fundamental events can cause this to break down, and I do believe that it will break down. I don't think that Bitcoin can ride this lower boundary for, the next decade necessarily. I mean, maybe it can. I guess this is 2030, and you would say the lower boundary would be $187,000. And okay, maybe that does seem intuitively reasonable. The point is that, let's go back to the main Bitcoin chart that I have here. The point is that right now, I can't tell you whether the regression boundary should be here right around 50,000 or whether it should be around 60,000. Nevertheless, we are in the zone somewhere in the neighborhood of that lower regression boundary. I don't think this is over. It is hard for me to believe that after this exact pattern playing out twice in a row now, that we're just going to fall here and that this is it, that's the end of the bear market, right? I don't think that I believe that. So, yeah, I do think that Bitcoin's price is going to have to fall lower. And furthermore, you have to understand that there is an error associated with the regression boundary. There was, for example, a 9% on the last one right here. So the bull market was December 2022. I was off, or I shouldn't say because I did kind of get the regression slightly wrong. It's better than Plan B, and it's better than the other regression analysis that you've seen. But apparently, there is a nuance here that I could use to maybe make this better. So, anyways, the point is that if this current regression was off by 9%, and we're saying 50,000 might be a legitimate spot, again, I don't know, but it's kind of in this neighborhood between 50 and 60,000. If we're going to drop 9% below that, that could be hypothetically 45,000. So what I'm saying is that right now, somewhere between 50 and 45,000 is probably the buy, sell the farm and buy Bitcoin level at the moment. But I can't say with confidence until I redo the regression analysis in a way that accounts for the start date, the start date problem that crops up when you get the log axis. There's also another way to do it. It's called this is something I just learned. It's called quantile regression, and it does better with the kind of outlier data points that we get in the Bitcoin chart. And there's some people who have done that. So the only thing is that the quantile regression actually doesn't seem to be quite as accurate as the one that I did. That could just be happenstance. So anyways, I did redo the regression analysis because we are in a bear market and we need to have some kind of idea, statistically, of what our buy point should be. In my opinion right now, that buy point doesn't seem like it should be now. But again, there's a way to do the regression analysis that says it puts the low in, or that says the lower boundary was 60,000 and that we actually touched it. So yeah, I'm not super confident on that. But anyways, that's kind of that's a little bit of a wanderings on what the regression analysis update looks like. So let's continue on. Let's actually go back to Monero. We actually kind of tagged a lower statistical level right here. Guys, I don't know what this chart's going to do. I honestly can't tell you. I don't have any good opinions. I don't have any confident opinions. Kind of like I told you last week. When the moment we got online, I said, listen, guys, I don't trust myself and I don't trust my analysis that much in these moments for a lot of reasons, right? That the world looks different. The fundamentals are definitely off, different, odd. And, we're seeing Bitcoin in this bear market now, even as gold has pumped, even as stocks continue to pump, even as they're, supposedly doing the QE, but I don't really see too much QE. We'll look at that in a second. So this is quite the move for Monero, right? I mean, okay, sure, maybe this blow off here was a little bit exaggerated, and oh my God, we fell 65%. Okay, but does the 1 week, does the few days that we pumped like 50%, does that really count? For how far Monero fell? I don't think so. Maybe. I mean, yes. I mean, technically it does, right? Technically, it does count. But which other coin? Tell me what other altcoins set a new all-time high? Oh wait, right. Which altcoins actually set a new all-time high this round? None of them. Just Monero. So I think that's a pretty good indication, of what's going on here. All right, so let's go to ratios. Let's go to dominance, right? XMR dominance. Monero actually did do a pretty good job of just smashing that blue line right here. But notice we did end up coming right back to it. So, a lot of spiky stuff going on here. We've got this hammer. We've got this, I don't know what they call it. I can't remember at the moment. But anyways, it's basically a doji. That's what they call it. They call this a doji, where you have like one candle that wicks massively up and then comes back to the baseline. And I honestly, guys, I also think that it's extremely plausible that part of the reason that we saw this big spike was to paint a doji. Because one thing that the cabal loves to do is paint chart patterns, because they know people watch them. So we saw this right here, where they painted a doji on Monero for the weekly and also for the monthly. There's a big doji there, and they did this same thing to gold, by the way. That whole pump that happened, that I don't believe that this was an accident with gold, that they pumped gold, or that I shouldn't say they pumped, but I mean, I do think they did. I think the cabal was actually behind it. I don't think it was an accident that gold and silver pumped like on January 29th and then pulled back significantly. I think they were actually trying to create a doji right here with the gold and the silver price on the monthly and the weekly. I think they were trying to paint a doji on this one and basically were unable. So I still, there is kind of toppy vibes a little bit with gold, but again, I'm just not selling. Even if I have to ride the thing down, I want more clarity before I sell any gold. And I just don't know what else I want to go into. I don't want to put my money in the stock market, and I don't want to hold stable coins. And I don't, I've got plenty of crypto. So it's kind of like, I want to stay balanced in my portfolio. I don't want to sell gold, even if I'm going to write it down for a little bit. Maybe if there's something else in the future that looks more toppy, maybe we'll find a way to sell some of the gold position and then maybe try and rebuy at a lower price. I guess hypothetically, if you'd done that, you could have saved 20% if you had caught the perfect top and the perfect bottom. But you're never going to do that. At the moment, gold price looking all right. Okay, big blow off, but this thing is still on a, from a charting perspective, this thing is still on a nice upward trajectory. It is recovering fairly quickly. Let's go to the 1 hour, see if we can find anything on the gold 1 hour. But yeah, the gold price is still recovering reasonably well. You can see that we've kind of set some lower standard deviation boundaries here. So probably there was kind of like the last time that we got a big pullback in the gold price. We said, hey, this is going to need to cool off for a period of time, and then we'll have to see from there, right? Last time, this thing just basically pushed towards the upside and then broke out immediately. If it does it again, then you can be sure that gold is going to make some new big all-time high. I don't know if that will be the case, but certainly there is going to be fuckery in this market. There are a lot of people that are going long, going short on leverage, gold and silver. And so there's going to be a lot of money to be made by wrecking longs and shorts. That's just what markets are. That's just how things happen. They go down that way. So there's no escaping it. Just understand that is the case with markets. And it also makes it very hard to know when the blow off top really is. Your statistical levels don't always work out very well for you in those cases. Sometimes they can, right? Sometimes they're really good. And usually, again, that's why we want to corroborate. We say, okay, statistically, here's the level we expected. We're looking for this. But what else is out there in the landscape that will help to corroborate that statistic, right? Or whatever, statistical means that we've chosen, because there's not one, right? It's not like science says that this is the top, right? It's not like it's not like COVID over here. So you do want corroboration if you can at all find a way to do that. Silver chart looking kind of worse, a lot worse. It still hasn't really found like a solid sort of wave magic bottom. Maybe let's look at the 1 hour. Maybe this thing has something that looks like that. Nope, certainly does not. Yes, I mean, silver had a massive run, as everybody knows. So yeah, I guess, gonna keep hanging on to the silver. It's possible this thing could go higher. The world is pretty fucked up right now. And a lot like we've said for many months here, a lot of fundamental things appear to be changing. So, again, just hang on to your metals, guys. I guess, I don't know. I'd hate if this was the top and everyone's like, hang on to your metals, and then everyone, drops another 50%. But what are you going to do? Listen, if you're hanging on to your metals and you've had them for a year, for a couple years, then okay, you had a big windfall, but you didn't take profit, and now you're still in nice profits. You just didn't catch the ultimate peak. So if you're a trader, then obviously that's not how you want to play it. But again, I think most of you guys out there are trying not to be traders. I think you're just trying to be investors, reallocators of your portfolio. Okay, so a little bit all over the place today. Let's look at Bitcoin versus or Monero versus Bitcoin. And so once again, we look at these statistical levels. We say we had our upper standard deviation bands, and that is kind of the neighborhood where resistance was found. Basically shy of the 1% of Bitcoin's market cap level. If we go to the weekly, let's take a look here at the weekly. You can see that we're still kind of, it's funny because we talk about, Monero does well against Bitcoin in bear markets. And as it turns out, we've been in a bear market since, since right about here. So Monero actually did pretty good so far this bear market. It's still annoying that this level, right, that the 0.1 level, the 1% level, the 0.01 level, is sort of the neighborhood where Monero has not been able to break out relative to Bitcoin. If we can ever get past that, if Monero can ever get to the top side of that, and then maybe there's a case that it could really start going. The truth is, guys, is that Bitcoin is propped up vastly, and so are all the cryptocurrencies. They are all propped up vastly beyond their fundamental underlying level. If we had an apples to apples price, if Monero had an apples to apples price to the rest of cryptocurrency, it would have a vastly higher price than what it has now. But those other coins are propped up, right? They prop up those other coins as much as they can, to the point that in some cases, like when it comes to Zcash, for example, I don't even believe that many people had hardly any Zcash after the kind of action that they had for so many years. Like, it's so difficult to believe that hardly anybody had Zcash, or that the people that had it just absolutely didn't care about it anymore, because they would have bought it at the top of the hype, right? They would have bought it up here or bought it here and said, well, it's gone. I've lost, how much? I don't know, 10x of my value, 20x of my value. So it's just not there anymore. Maybe it'll come back, right? So in some ways, some of these coins, it's hard for me to believe that people really have that much of it, other than, some narrow cadre or whatever. Anyways, and so they can pump the coin. They can say that the coin is valued more, even if, it's not, because no one has it. So there's so coins on the way up. Anyways, again, it's all speculative, but okay. So Zcash wicked down minus 75% from the top, currently down about minus 70%. If we were to go on a shorter time frame here, it's not going to look good. This is like free fall right here. This is what free fall looks like. This is going to round trip, guys, unless the bull market suddenly makes a resurgence, comes back. This coin is very likely to end up round tripping. So, all right, let's look at the other privacy coins. Xano somehow managed to actually not fall that much. I don't know how that's possible, but Xano actually just went flat as everything else was falling. So that's interesting. Firo also down a good bit. Yeah, I mean, it kind of had it's a little delayed bull market, kind of like Monero had. And then Pirate Chain also unable to sustain the gains that they had made. That makes sense. I mean, you need people buying, and it's hard to buy Pirate Chain. It's not really listed on that many places, and again, there's just not that much support. Like, there's not that many people that use it. There's a few like very true believers out there, and a few developers, but I don't see Pirate in the broader system. So Tari also still not able to find a bottom. It needs to bottom like now. This needs to be the spot that it bottoms if we're going to say that this thing is bottoming. It's the best attempt that Tari has made to bottom since it launched, which is a horrible way to phrase it, but that's just what it is. I guess it did make like a 6x from its launch earlier. Anyways, still trying to find a bottom here. Maybe it can do it, but it needs to stop and reverse like right now to be convinced that Tari is bottoming. Let's see, is there anything else that we should look at for crypto? Interesting that Bitcoin fell off, right, so precipitously, but that it didn't see a big pump in the Bitcoin dominance. In fact, if anything, Bitcoin dominance fell, which is also what happened last bear market. Bitcoin's dominance fell during the first half of the bear market. So that was, that's interesting that a similar dynamic appears to be at play. I wouldn't necessarily, obviously Bitcoin dominance isn't exactly falling here. If we look from October, right? So again, technically the very top of October here, Bitcoin dominance has been flat. So it hasn't been falling, but the bear market hasn't seen Bitcoin dominance rising. So again, another little signal that perhaps we are in a somewhat different fundamental arena than before. Altcoins obviously are going to be doing about the same as Bitcoin. We're going to look at total market cap to try and get a better viewpoint. Looking at this chart, long term, this chart doesn't look terrible. Like this chart still doesn't look too terrible. Could probably find a way to try and call this like a head and shoulders. I don't know. Like don't quote me on this, but maybe you could try to call that a head and shoulders. The problem is that in a chart that does this kind of action, a seesaw action, you can see a head and shoulders exist anywhere, right? You can find a head and shoulders almost anywhere, which is why I'm not totally sure about that pattern. But honestly, guys, this doesn't look, total market cap doesn't look like the worst chart that I've ever seen. It doesn't look like a great chart exactly, but it's not horrible. So I mean, it feels horrible, because when you go from 4 trillion and you wick down to 2 trillion, that's not so great. But all right, whatever. So let's look at the Bitcoin. Let's look at Bitcoin versus stocks, because especially the NASDAQ, because this kind of chart doesn't inspire confidence, guys. Like the fact that Bitcoin can barely make new all-time highs versus the NASDAQ and its bull market peaks. At this point, and it makes sense, of course, right? They got the ETF, Bitcoin is on the stock market, and Michael Saylor did the bonds so that he could buy the Bitcoin to pump the price and get the index effect and all this nonsense. And this is all that can be shown for it, right? This is all that you can show for that. And this is where your chickens come home to roost, as they say. This is where the fact that Bitcoin didn't scale and had a shitty scaling plan and refused to even increase the block size a little bit to go along with the clear bandwidth gains that have been made. That's a problem, right? Bitcoin needed to scale at least a little bit better than what it did. It needed a little bit better mainchain capacity than what it had, because people just kept leaving, right? You get these on-ramps, you get these onboarding waves, and the chain would clog up and prices, fees were $20-$50, and then Bitcoin refused to do anything about it other than say Lightning will fix it all, and then say, well, actually, no, Ordinals will fix it all. No, wait, I mean, not Ordinals. I mean, some other fancy Enigma network, some other lofty cryptographic concept that no one understands, barely understands, and is at least hashtag 18 months away. Bitcoin needed to scale and it didn't, and this is the consequences for that, right? This is the consequences for trying to sell your soul out to Wall Street and participate with the Epstein files instead of scaling. So this is probably a long-term issue with Bitcoin now. It is probably forming a long-term stable band relative to stocks from here on out, like forevermore. Like unless something fundamental changes, we are looking at years, many years of Bitcoin not being able to set a new all-time high relative to stocks. Now, if you can catch it down, because again, I don't think this is over. Maybe Bitcoin has to fall down to this level. If you can catch it down at this level, okay, maybe you can find a way to ride up, get back into Bitcoin and then ride up Bitcoin relative to the NASDAQ, to the tune of 2.5x maybe. But so it's not rosy, right? You can probably get the sentiment here from me. It's not a rosy situation happening right now. Let's talk a little bit about the macro. They said that they were going to quantitative ease, but I was told there would be quantitative easing, but that's not what I see in this chart. Yeah, they get a little bit, just a little tiny bit, 1.5% of quantitative easing of money printing, and then it pulled back. So at the moment, very little quantitative easing has happened, just 1%, which I guess is technically about $100 billion. But I mean, come on, please, that $100 billion doesn't even buy the Somalis their houses and groceries in Minnesota, right? That $100 billion is barely enough to support the Somali fraud. Sir?
They're doing $45 billion a month in QE, at least until April.
That's what they're saying, but the chart doesn't show it. So, and 45 billion a month. I mean, bro, what is that? 450 billion a year? I guess that's $500 billion a year. So if they said they were going to start, but where the chart's not showing it, right? The total balance sheet assets are not showing it. So I don't know. I'm not seeing it, but stocks are like still doing pretty good. Like if you look at the S&P 500. Stocks have basically just been, slowly moving higher over the course of weeks and months. There was a little bit of a pullback, right? So stocks pulled back to 3% from the end of January until Thursday, and then Friday there was a big candle, big green candle, and stocks came back, they got back a lot of those losses. But again, I mean, 3% loss, this is just chop. This is nothing. Stock's still positive. Macro still mostly fine. Dollar index it actually broke down from this trend line that we talked about. Charts are loading a little bit slow today, but let's look at that on the regular. Okay. So yeah, we've talked about this line for a long time. They were on the monthly chart. You can see it goes all the way back to 2008. The dollar index, it kind of depends on if you want to look at it in a logarithmic or a regular. And I think with indexes, you should look at them on the regular, but still, like, it's still that problem of just drawing lines and how arbitrary it can be. Anyways, if we look at this on the logarithmic and we draw this line with like kind of a logarithmic feel to it, it actually broke down. But if we put this on the regular, then it didn't quite break down. So hopefully that illustrates to you guys why it's so dubious to just draw some lines and think that represents your best opportunity, and why you have to draw a bunch of different ways and look at charts a bunch of different ways. If you want to be a trader, you have to stare at charts like all day long. And this is actually one thing that people used to ask me a lot. Well, hey, I want to get into trading. What books should I read? What should I do? What should you do? You should spend all day in charts. You should just look at charts, play with them, use different indicators, do whatever you want, experiment with it. The only way that you're going to get good at having an intuitive feel for what markets are going to do is you have to spend all day looking at charts, and you need to eat and live and breathe different charts, and of course, like all of the news that goes with it, and all the sentiment and the hype, and what people are saying about it, right? You've got to do all that stuff too. But yeah, the only way to do something is to do it, right? To practice it. So, anyways, I still recommend not trading. It's not a good idea. Yeah. So dollar index did break down a little bit, but still basically just sideways for the most part, pushing sideways. So I wouldn't say the dollar index is flashing any warning signal at us. Oil price is now in that Goldilocks zone that we talked about. I wouldn't say this is Goldilocks zone. It's still a little bit poor, right? You still kind of want you want the U.S. oil, the petrodollar. You still really would prefer to have the petrodollar in the 70s, not in the 60s. But for the regime that we find ourselves in at the moment, 60 to 65 is good enough. That's a good enough Goldilocks zone to keep the show running, which is what we expected when they invaded Venezuela, that was going to accomplish right. The Venezuela was about keeping the price of oil higher, not lower. And that's basically what we saw. So, okay. We talked about gold, again, it's hard. My feels do not permit me to believe that the gold market is over. My feels did not want to permit me to believe that the Bitcoin bull market was over either. So take that for what it's worth. But at a minimum, I do think that we should see gold rebound to the upper side of its upper standard deviation, somewhere to the 5,200 level, maybe 5,300, somewhere around that level. We should see a gold rebound. Where it goes from there, probably it'll find a resistance, and then we'll have to see if it's going to. We'll have to see if gold finds resistance there, stops quickly, and then tries to push up again, or whether it does kind of one of these, right? If gold does this, we could see we could see a couple months of sideways chop if gold doesn't recover quickly here. Okay, I guess that's about it, guys. Let me check the comments, make sure we didn't miss anything. No, it doesn't look like we got any comments here. Maybe YouTube. Haven't had liquidity this run. Yeah, that's true. So Charting BTC says we haven't had the liquidity this run. That's why we never had a real blow off top and an alt season. That's true. Yeah, what are you going to do with it when total market cap reaches $4 trillion already, and everyone who ever thought about hearing about Bitcoin has already heard about it and has already had the chance to buy. Exchanges are everywhere. Practically every country has them except for like North Korea. But oh, by the way, even North Korea is balls deep in cryptocurrency with Lazarus. Who knows, right? Maybe that's all psyop itself as well. But everyone's had the chance to buy Bitcoin. There's no new adoption waves coming into Bitcoin. So yeah, and now we kind of learned, we learned that there's this like Epstein relation. It's still tenuous. They said Andy back, but that's supposedly a term that Epstein used for some other person, Andrew back something or other, right? Like so I don't know. There's kind of like this this potential that maybe Adam Back wasn't invited to the island and didn't have anything to do with Epstein. I don't know. Who knows, right? Who knows with that shit? But either way, like we do know that there was funding. Like Epstein loved Bitcoin, and there was like this funding, you know, that happened for Blockstream, and we already know that the Blockstream funding was extremely dubious in the first place, anyways, right? That it was, I think, like Max Levchin and the other guys, Larry. No, it's not Larry Summers. that's 9/11. Anyways, I forget their names, but it's basically, we're talking about like Google, Microsoft, Apple, right? We're talking about people that sit on those boards that were executives in those companies at the time that Blockstream was formed. They're the ones that did the seed capital for Blockstream, and magically Blockstream was like small blocks, right? So anyways, all right, I think we've beaten that dead horse. I guess that's all, guys. I don't have anything else here. Where I have no idea what the markets are going to do. I have no idea. Like, I can't really tell you what I think the next move is here. Probably what we want. Listen, I can tell you what we do want to see though with Monero. We want to see this as the bottom. We want to see that this was like, you know, an attempt, right? Like we want to believe that this pump and dump was some kind of attempt to try and manage the chart, right? To cause fear, whatever. But we want to see that this is a wick that can't be brought any lower. If you guys remember, there was a period of time for a couple years there where Monero's price literally could not go lower. It was just not possible for it to go lower. Even in the worst, dire, most like the worst circumstances, Monero couldn't go lower. Like, so right here, I can't remember what this wick was. I'm not able to see the dates there. I think that was the mini crash. This wick right here was the mini crash of last year, right? The mini macro crash of April 2025. That wick was the worst that could possibly happen in that moment, which meant that the only other place for the chart to go from there was up. And so what we want to see is something similar here. Maybe we'll go to the weekly. What we want to see is something similar where it's like people are looking at this saying, holy shit, here's my chance to buy more Monero, and that the price just literally cannot go lower than that and see an immediate, you know, comeback. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that's what we want to see. Right now, Bitcoin, things don't look good with Bitcoin. Things don't look, you know, and with the rest of crypto, like a lot of cryptos are just totally breaking down beyond like key levels. In fact, let's just go to some of the popular ones and take a look at it real quick. Like Link. Link is a great one to look at because this is one of the coins that everyone's like, yeah, this is, you know, Link has a reason for existence. It has a unique reason for, I don't know, I guess gambling to do gambling for Oracle's Polymarket, you know, but Polymarket's not going anywhere. So, you know, this isn't a bad spot right here to look at Link and say, okay, that's a I don't know, a generational low or a macro kind of low for the Link chart. But did Link set a new all-time high? No. So a lot of cryptos just, you know, and Sol, holy crap. Let's see if we can pull up Sol because that's even worse. I don't even know why I have Hex USD on there anymore. Hex is nothing. Hex doesn't even have like $1,000 of volume anymore, which is just abysmal, like a daily. Yeah, so Sol right now, this looks horrible. Let's go to the daily chart. Maybe there's some other levels we can try and find, but Sol just fell off a cliff, guys. Just absolutely just getting murdered here. Minus 70% already, 72% on that wick down. Yeah, I mean, this is what a chart and total breakdown looks like, and it kind of makes sense, right? Because the real gambling happening on crypto these days is Polymarket, not dog memes. And that's probably how it should be, right? Like chainmail is not like that. That's not enough to support the market cap of a chain. At least not at the level that Sol was at. So, I don't know, guys. I would very much like to say, I would like to believe that we're entering a new kind of regime with Monero. That we're not Monero, with cryptocurrency. I would like to say we're entering this new kind of regime where a lot of these projects are going to truly start dying forever, dying. And I don't know if Sol is going to be one of them. Probably it should be. Even if it doesn't die, it should massively come down. We're talking like Cardano, XRP, Sol, Stellar, so many just nonsense coins that have no fucking reason for existence other than straight up pure gambling. I would like to say we're going to enter that regime, and that could be choppy times for Monero, right? That could have some effects on Monero, could have some side effects on us. But overall, you know, Monero has established its use as a currency and a fundamental baseline reason for existence and use case. So I think that there's a lot of reason to suspect that Monero can survive significantly better than the rest of these altcoins. And maybe as these altcoins die, you know, maybe people end up saying, hey, maybe I should have bought money instead of buying dog memes, right? Or buying some corporate nonsense coin, right? It's like Ripple or whatever. That's what we could hope for, right? But is that going to actually happen? I can't tell you that's going to happen. Can't promise you anything there. But Monero at $300, guys, that's really not too bad. We were at 150 for years and years and years. So Monero pull back into the bear market at $300. This seems fine to me, right? That seems not problematic. And there is still very much a potential that Monero could hold its own, that Monero could come back. We could get to the $400 level, even as Bitcoin is bottoming in a bear market. And what happens? Let's suppose that Bitcoin does find a bottom somewhere like 50,000 in the neighborhood of the regression. And let's suppose that Monero is sitting at $400 when that happens. What does that tell you about the price that's about to happen to Monero as Bitcoin comes out of a bear market, right? That would be actually quite good for Monero's price. So again, highly speculative because I don't have any solid, like really strong beliefs or good ideas about where things go from here. All I can do is kind of like ramble on some different stuff, different ideas. Let's see. Quadricella said even BTC might die or get very close to it. It's been propped up for far too long. And your regression stuff might break down. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I do think it's totally possible that the Bitcoin regression could totally break down. We didn't hit the boundary at the all-time high, and it's not for want of trying. Like Michael Saylor and the gang, they definitely tried their best to pump Bitcoin as hard as they possibly could, and failed to get beyond 125. So that's not good. The regression very well could break down. I would still say you should still punt on it, right? Like that's still a really phenomenal place. Like 50,000, that's a phenomenal place to punt into Bitcoin. Like you could even short-term swing trade it. Get into Bitcoin at 50K. It will find some way to get above 50K in the future. You just have to hold it. You will get your money back at some point, and then you can sell it, right? Now, is Bitcoin going to die forever? That's going to take, Quadricella, I would say that might take a little bit longer, right? We're not going to see that happen in the course of just a few years, most likely. But who knows, right? Maybe some big pivot happens into like Ethereum or something. I don't know. Anyways, all right, guys, I guess I've rambled on long enough. I don't have any other good ideas for you. Sorry that I can't bring you good news today. Gold, still looking all right. Crypto looking like shit. We said it last week. We said crypto looks like crap. And the patterns are not looking good. Stocks, whatever, macro seems fine still. So no macro crash coming up yet, but yeah, that's what the markets look like today. Hey guys, not super great, but
Bawdy, what do you think of this idea that crypto is just leading the broader market, and that the collapse happened in crypto first because it's all high risk assets, and then maybe we start to see it in the broader market as well? What do you think of that theory that's been being tossed around?
I suppose it could make some sense. It's kind of funny because that sort of proposition always goes back and forth, where it's like, Bitcoin is following, and then Bitcoin is leading, and then Bitcoin is following, or now they're trading together. And it's kind of like, well, it's a tautology. It's always going to look like one of those three. But it's not that it's wrong, or that it's not that it couldn't be correct. It's just that it sounds plausible. Hello? Did I lose you guys?
Nope,
Yeah, you were cutting out for me for a little bit.
Yeah, you're still.
I don't know
you're
if
still here, but
everybody else can hear you. You're saying I don't know if it's
Well,
wrong.
hopefully
I don't
the
know if
price
it's
report
right.
wasn't delivered chopping in and out.
No, price report was pretty good. It was a little choppy, but it was 95% good.
Okay. Well, I'll have to do some troubleshooting. I think it's my browser, because my other browser doesn't have this problem, so I don't know.
So $1 million question too. I mean, so what do you think the likelihood that the bottom is in then for Bitcoin? Do you think 60 could, like, what odds
low,
or probabilities do you give it that we've already hit the bottom versus going lower?
20%. Yeah, probably 20%. It's hard to look at this chart and think that this is actually the bottom right here.
Okay, and then if we do go lower, like I'm hearing numbers, right? Like the thought is what, that we bounce off the 200 week moving average, or do you see it going lower than that?
Yeah, the 200 week has been useful, but it's also so let's just pull it up here. SMA. Wait, they always change the name of the moving average, and since I never use them anymore, MA cross, and I'm having a hard time finding that right now.
It's
Is
under,
it SMA?
it's on Trading View.
Oh, here it is. Okay,
it's under indicators and then simple moving average.
I found it. All right, so here's the 200 week SMA. Let's kill the Bitcoin regression so it doesn't interfere with our eyeballs. Yeah, so Bitcoin has historically found bottoming somewhere in the neighborhood of the 200 SMA, but not last time. If you look at this chart right here, you can see that last time Bitcoin bottoms, let's just do the measurement, at its very maximum divergence from the 200 SMA, that was minus 35%. So hypothetically, if we're going to say the same thing here from 58,000, minus 35%, would put it at 37,000, right? So probably, man, I would like to tell you that it could try to bounce off the 200 SMA, but that's not what happened last time either. The last bear market, Bitcoin just totally smashed through the 200 SMA. There was no support there at all. Maybe like on a daily sense, but well, you can't look at the 200 SMA on the daily. I guess you could. You just have to go to the 1400 SMA. Yeah, maybe we could do that.
Yeah, I was thinking it would bounce somewhere between 37, like 35 and about 50 is where I figured it would hit and come off of.
What's kind of funny is the fact, like, to look back and the fact that we've been in a bear market since October and no one, like, very few people really were saying that until just the past few weeks. Like, I mean, it kind of makes sense though, if you say, all right, because, you know, you're only minus 34% down, which is actually very common for a bull market, right, to be down by that much. Whereas last time, you know, Bitcoin actually went down 55% on the first one, and then minus 50% on that second drop. You know, so in this case, the drops were less severe. So maybe we could even, like, we could say how much was the relative difference in the drop, and then try to say how, you know, what was the relative difference that the ultimate low will be. I'll speculate on that some other time, but yeah, it is kind of funny that we've basically been in a quote unquote bear market for 6 months now. 6 months, 4 months, 5 months, and it's only just now really apparent.
I also took a look and found that Monero is currently on the 1 year simple moving average pretty much almost exactly, and the 200 week is at 202 because I checked both of those.
Let's see. Kiko asked if that drop was the FTX collapse, and the answer is no. That was the summer. That was summer 2022. Maybe it was Celsius.
Wasn't 3 Arrows Capital
collapsed? I don't remember. Maybe that was the collapse. It could have been that, or maybe it was just time. I remember right before it happened, I was like I remember I was on XMR Trader just being like, oh, all right. Well, anyways, all right. Kiko, the FTX drop was this guy right here in November, or the end of October of 2022. So that's one. Okay, so the last thing I'll say about it, I'll just hand the show back over since apparently I'm cutting out pretty bad. The only thing I'll say here is we don't have the Celsius and the FTX and the 3 Arrows Capital and all this, like, just crazy fraud. Yeah, there's still fraud, but it's not quite as pervasive, you know, as it was in the last bear market. So that also might be a supporting factor. Maybe Bitcoin doesn't go nearly as low because you don't have to wash out so much fraud.
All right. Well, thank you, Bawdy, for the price support. We appreciate it.
Anytime, every time.
And I guess with that, we can move on to.
We'll see you guys soon. We'll see you in Monerotopia.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. Bawdy was cutting out a lot for me. I don't know if he was for you, Shortwave. Is it just me?
I could hear him most of the time. He would do this weird thing where he would like cut off in the middle of things, but then it would come back like a second later. But the biggest problem wasn't even that. The biggest problem was that he was lagging like mad. So like you'd say
that's
something.
What's happening.
Yeah, so it was a combination of both, but the lag was worse than the cutouts, at least on my end.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was me. I do see Quadrio Chaletta. Was this question answered?
Ray.
Yeah, we answered that one about the about FTX and stuff like that. Is that the one?
If Saylor and Co were forced to sell their BTC, surely it would go way below regression. They own way too much of the supply, and retail isn't there because crypto seems like a scam. To so many now, gambling, etc., ruin nearly the whole scene. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm sure Buddy has his own take on that, but my understanding with Saylor is that he's in a position to go pretty low. It's not like the 70 number that people were talking about.
I think he was on
just because he can continue to raise money to support it. I don't know what his average dollar cost. What his dollar cost average is. Maybe that is in the 70s, but from what I'm hearing is he could sustain lower prices for many years. I can't give you the reasoning as to why, but that's what people are saying. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, Saylor's average purchase price is like 73 or 74,000, so he's actually underwater right now. But they were just on it. They just had their company earnings call
That
here
can't
the
be
other
right.
day. Go ahead.
That can't be right. That 70,000 number, it can't be right because his average purchase price in the last, when he purchased most of his Bitcoin, was actually like 2020, 2021.
But
so
if he was only purchasing small amounts at that time,
and his purchase price back then was like 30,000, somewhere around there. No, he was purchasing massive amounts. Like that's when he acquired the majority of his stack, not this time.
That's not what I heard.
I don't know. I need to go look at those numbers.
Yeah, but then he also just buys the top.
Would be
he like.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We're getting a lot of issues here. I think it's multiple issues. I don't know if it's just body.
All right, guys, I'm just gonna head out then.
Yeah. All right, man. Body, we'll see you. We'll see you in a couple of days, right? At Monerotopia.
100%.
Awesome. Very much looking forward to it. All right, let's keep it moving.
Yeah, we have Ray in the.
I think we have Ray.
Yep.
Hopefully the internet will work. Let me get Ray up here.
Are you in the cafe?
Yeah, I'm in the cafe. I mean, I think things are good from my end. I did an internet speed test. It appears to be working, so I don't think it's an internet issue on my end.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna play the guest.
I think it was bodies more than anything else.
Okay. All right. The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys. All right, Ray, I think you're muted.
Oh, Ray!
What's up, everybody?
The Master Chief himself.
I'm getting echoes and stuff. Can you guys mute? Can Shortwave and I guess Sunita, can you mute? I don't know what's going on here.
I'm in front of the ocean, so I don't know. If
Ray, what's going on, man? Where are you? You're in Mexico?
Yeah, I'm in Tulum. It's really beautiful out here. You can see.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice. I miss Mexico a lot.
Good for you, man. Good for you. I need a little of that.
Yeah, well, then have the show in Tulum, not Mexico City, bro. Need the beach, man.
Hello.
I hear you, bro.
I don't know if it's my internet or Ray. Can you hear me, man?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
All right, sweet. Yeah, super excited to see you, man. A couple days. When are you heading up here? Mexico City.
I think it's in 3 days. Yeah.
All right. All right, brother. So, dude, what do you? I'm sure we'll be talking about this at the conference. What do you think of all this craziness that's happening now with Epstein and everything that's coming out, and people trying to tie it into Bitcoin? What's your take on all that, Jazz?
It's a lot to take in.
I know. It's we're learning more and more every day.
Yeah,
but what's your instinct?
I don't have any instincts on this. I've known all about this for the past 20 years, and about the deception, about this whole alternative world that's been fashioned for us that we're living in. None of this is real, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. What's happening here with the Epstein files is just what they allowed to peep out, just so they can do a test. It's the art of keeping people just happy enough, making sure they don't get mad enough, so they don't do anything that would disrupt their plans, so they can take us to where they want us to be. And that's still all in check. People are not, you're not going to see any resistance from the West. It's a completely corrupted society, no love of God anymore. So there's no hope for that. But there is hope for what we're doing here in crypto. Now, we have another problem here. We also must face the existential rot that has taken over our space. We're the guys that have been, being very realistic about what happened with Blockstream and the hijacking of Bitcoin. And we didn't just complain about it. We actually put our weight and our love and our resistance, our support behind Monero, which has the best chance of being peer-to-peer electronic cash. So we're coming with a solution to a problem, and we're calling out the problem. And we've been those guys for a while. Roger Ver was one of those guys too. He even made his own coin, BCH. He supports a lot of the other coins like Monero, like Xano, etc. And I think people are beginning to understand Roger Ver was right. All of those people that came out and called this out, they were all right. And now, we're having the chickens are coming home to roost. We're having to face that. We basically lost Bitcoin. It's no solution to anything. In fact, as it is right now, it doesn't really have much value. But there's levels of psyops going on right now. Like, for example, yes, Epstein and his gang did fund, take over and hijack the core developers of Bitcoin. They try to get their tentacles into everything, every other big project. Pretty much BlackRock owns Binance now and has been using that to manipulate and suppress the price of crypto. But even within Bitcoin, as they pretty much neutered the project, I started noticing people coming out and calling Bitcoin the pedo coin and trying to even weaken it more. Like, I was one of those people that went to war with the Maxis, but now I'm seeing the same people that hijacked Bitcoin flooding Bitcoin as well. It's the same people doing it again because they have the exact same tactics. I'm like, these same people that hijacked it are now trying to totally destroy it. We can't support this. So I had to stop all the people that were like, hey, told you so. Okay, fine. But taking down Bitcoin, reducing its value to zero is not going to help us and not going to help the entire space. If anything, we should try to take it back from these Blockstream clowns, bring in our people and bring it back to peer-to-peer electronic cash so we have as many options as possible. The one thing that was great about Bitcoin is that it had high circulation and you could do self-custody, which is an amazing combination, right? And a great brand, the oldest brand. Monero brings both those things except the distribution. It's not yet there, right? So we don't want to lose that power to self-custody and save a large portion of wealth. That's why seeing Bitcoin disappear right now would be bad. So we have to resist that new PSYOP while calling out the old PSYOP and taking Bitcoin back. But I think, honestly, there's so much confusion there that our best energy is reserved for building up projects like Monero, which is still being used today. In fact, it's being used more and more than ever. The question is, Doug, and I ask you this question. What do we need to do right now in Monero world to make sure that it gets real traction? Now, you've already started one of those things with XMR Bazaar, which I think is the best shop in crypto, by far, actually. And it's actually making Monero useful for real transactions in a real marketplace with an escrow. It's an amazing product you built. That's a huge part of it. But I still think we're missing honest price discovery in Monero. Like, where do you go to actually get the real price of Monero? I tried to add Monero to our spot. Eventually, I took our whole spot down because people weren't able to withdraw Monero from our spot, meaning these market makers and the white label we were using wasn't giving us, it wasn't really a connected exchange. It wasn't honest, so I got rid of it. But where can we find an honest exchange that gives us a real price for Monero? I don't think it's Kraken. Maybe the Chinese exchanges, some of them are going over 3,000. You know, when all this bullshit happened about a month ago. So I think we need real price discovery for Monero, and what else do we need to really jump this movement? You tell me.
Yeah, so obviously, one, I think these peer-to-peer marketplaces like XMR Bazaar are something we need to focus on and continue to grow. And I am hopeful, given the traction we're seeing there, and like no other crypto, right? I haven't seen any other crypto being used the way Monero is being used in XMR Bazaar. So really hopeful there. But yet, in terms of growing liquidity and access to Monero, I think the solution is decentralized exchanges. Atomic swaps is nice, but it's going to be really hard to make that super usable in a way where it will give a lot of people access. We're going to have some people talking about that at the conference that are working on some interesting things with atomic swaps. But I think decentralized exchanges like Sarai Dex that Luke Parker is working on, getting some of these decentralized exchanges that already exist that are large to add Monero, like Thorchain and Maya Protocol. Maya Protocol will be at Monerotopia. So I think that's what we really need to focus on is from a development side, making Monero more interoperable so that these decentralized exchanges can add Monero, and working with these decentralized exchanges, right? Not, Monero has a tendency of kind of shrugging them off and being like, well, if you can't add it, that's your problem. It's too technically difficult for you, that's your problem. I think Monero community needs to take a different attitude there and needs to be willing to work with them and be like, all right, well, what do we need to do on our end? I'm not saying, add a new transparent addresses. I'm not saying something extreme like that, but maybe there's things that can be done on our end from the development perspective that can make Monero more interoperable so that all these existing decentralized exchanges that are already getting traction can start to add Monero. And I'm sure once they do, Monero will be the most used crypto on those exchanges because it is the one crypto that you're going to want to obtain via a decentralized exchange. So I think that's where we need to focus.
Yeah, that last point especially was very poignant because I run a centralized exchange, no one's, and people always ask me, "Hey, add this coin," like Roger Ver's, like add Xano, and I want to add Xano. It's a great coin,
but it takes work.
It takes a lot of work because the tools aren't there. And Monero, we had a hell of a time with as well. It was those developer tools, those those.
I hear that all the time.
Yeah, we're not there, and it's like Microsoft when they made Xbox, Sony when they made PlayStation. They made it very friendly for developers, right? Like, here are all the tools. Here's a full environment. So did Android and iOS. Hey, you want to make games and apps? Okay, here's the full suite. Here's Xcode. It's got all the, it makes it very, very friendly. But for us here in crypto land, yeah, bro, you just go read the binary. I mean, come on, man. We have to actually deliver the tools. Otherwise, no one's going to make games on our console. It's that simple. And we don't have those basics down yet. And that's fucking sad. From a business perspective, it's like you're just a bunch of highfalutin tech aristocrats with a stick up your ass. You can't do business that way. So we really have to change right there. We need more business people, not messing things up, but making it easier for you to do business by building those bridges. That's one of the things that Vitalik, that's pretty much the only good thing that Vitalik did with Ethereum, right? Is he was a good ambassador to developers, and he advocated for them.
Mm-hmm.
Need more such advocates in Monero and any project that really wants to take off. It has to be a friendly experience. I think that's number one. So that's going to make it a lot easier for the willing to move in and to build faster. That's a huge change right there, functionally speaking. Number two, so it's a big debate: centralized exchanges versus decentralized exchanges, right? And everyone's like, yeah, we got to go decentralized. Like, it's going to solve all our problems. And I will say, like Hyperliquid, for example, is a great example of something that can really be decentralized and actually work. Because I will say, from what I've seen, Hyperliquid is the most sophisticated decentralized exchange that has the most uptake, that did a token strategy right, that executed so well that Binance was scared shitless and CZ launched a personal jihad and came out with an inferior competitor to try to take them down. That says a lot. But you still have a CEO, right? You still have a guy in charge. It's just really a very minute technical distinction. So from my perspective, it really doesn't matter whether it's centralized or decentralized. The only thing that it being decentralized buys you is a little bit more breathing room from a compliance perspective for the CEO or the people running the show. Because nothing in this world moves unless someone is actually running the show. Like there has to be a decent, there has to be a leader there with a hierarchy that's providing support, building the tools, making sure the liquidity is there, massaging the whole thing, nurturing it like a little baby. You can't just leave it out in the wild. I think it doesn't work that way. We got that with Bitcoin, kind of, but not really. And we're never going to get it anywhere else. There has to be one man where the buck stops with him that is leading the project, with a mind and with his heart and balls as well. So whether you're running on a decentralized structure or a centralized structure, really doesn't matter nearly as much as people think. It really doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of these guys that I'm not anti-centralized exchange for purposes of having Monero listed there. There's a lot of people in the Monero community that say, no, we shouldn't even, fight for getting listed on centralized exchanges because then they just print paper Monero and then manipulate the price. Honestly, I think the more on-ramps, the better. Especially Monero can use it more than any other crypto. So I'm still of the school of thought that, yeah, let's continue to try to advocate to have centralized exchanges list Monero. And once again, let's do what we need to do on our end in Monero land to make it easier for them to list Monero. Like you said, we just assume that they're just going to do it on their own and that they're going to deal with all the, issues of adding it, whether it's development issues or regulate. Like we need to help them, right? Because at the end of the day, they're kind of doing us a favor there. Once again, I'm not saying we add transparent addresses and we become Zcash. That's not what I'm saying. But there's things that can be done to help those that want to integrate with us, where we need to stretch our hand out to help them. And I see often in Monero land, we do the opposite. We turn our back on them and we say, if you don't want to add us, that's your problem. And I don't think that's the right approach. And honestly, I think that's a little bit of an attack that's been happening in Monero for quite some time, for years. Yeah. I don't know if that was coming from the Bitcoiners. I don't know who, they were mounting it as, well, this is good for Monero. I think it was just a very intelligent way of getting people who actually do support Monero to find themselves on the side of cheering for not being listed, for not growing. I mean, if you had to attack Monero, what better way than to get some of the most hardcore advocates on the side of cheering against growing it, ironically. And so I do think that was an attack. I mean, even with the Samurai Wallet guys, I don't want to talk negatively about them given all they've gone through. And I highly support them in terms of the wrongs that have been, the injustices that have been cast their way by the state. But, a big part of what they were doing back in the day was saying, Monero is just a tool for transacting. You shouldn't even want the number to go up. You shouldn't want it on listed exchanges. Why didn't they want it on exchanges? Because they were providing a tool for you to wash your Bitcoin using Monero. They didn't benefit from it being on exchanges. Their business model benefited from it not being on exchanges. So I think people need to be cognizant of that and aware of the fact that probably was an attack and continues to be one. And that, we need to be on the side of the more people that could access Monero, the better. And I think Monero being built the way it is, unlike any other crypto, will be resistant to being co-opted anyway. If you put Bitcoin on exchanges and you KYC everybody, it leads to a lot of problems. But Monero doesn't have those problems because once people pull it off the exchange, they go into a black hole. And so if any crypto is capable of being on an exchange without being co-opted, I would say Monero is the one crypto that could actually handle that. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I'm not anti-centralized exchange by any means. And in fact, I've been trying to get that done here in New York, and I'm constantly running up against people that don't want to do it. I don't want to name names, but I've talked to some people that are kind of high up there in the crypto New York scene that run big companies, and they're telling me, listen, Doug, I know you're trying to advocate for eliminating the bit license and whatnot. But that's telling me that's not going to happen. Good luck. Monero's not going to be on an exchange in New York anytime soon. Give up. People telling me to give up on that, and I find that suspicious. So yeah, that's where I stand on that.
Well, it's a very prudent perspective, very mature, makes perfect sense to me. Although I do think for New York, I think they're definitely right, bro. There's no chance in hell that's gonna happen.
But why? Why? What's going on there? Like, why, man? I've yet to hear like a cognizant reason, as a cogent reason as to why it can't be on exchanges. It's just kind of like this.
A cogent, cognizant reason that's completely illogical. Completely illogical. But here goes. It's a spiritual thing, man. New York is the head of the snake, and those people there are basically possessed by fucking demons. I don't know how else to put it to you, bro.
Honestly, I'm willing to believe that. given the what I've come up against in talking to people.
Like, it's like you see like a monster just wants to burst through their skin or something. It's just freaky. It's why I left, bro. There's no other way to explain it.
It's always been very suspicious to me that Monero has never been on a centralized exchange in New York, and they've used that as a way to cap it, as a way to keep it down. Here I am, I'm one of the. I think we could fairly say I'm one of the larger public Monero personalities, and I come out of New York, and here I am. I can't even freaking get. To this day, I can't buy Monero on a centralized exchange. I mean, I could only imagine how much higher the market cap would be if I were able to do. You know how many people I've spoken to over the years? I've been in this for quite some time. Not as long as you, but since 2014, I started buying buying Bitcoin. I was a Bitcoin maxi. I got into Monero because I thought Bitcoin was flawed, and I talked to a lot of people along the way, a lot of normies, but normies with money, normies living in New York City, living in Nassau County, normies with money. And they'd be like, wow, Doug, you were talking about that Bitcoin thing early on. And I'd be like, yeah, I was. I'm like, you know what I'm into now? Monero. And they go, oh, really? How do I get it? And that's where the conversation would end, because there'd be no way for them to get it. I would have onboarded hundreds of millions of dollars worth of people to Monero if I could have for the last literally 5 years in New York. So many people that were like, well, how do I get it? Let me throw some money into it. People with with big money that were willing to like go and make an investment, they weren't able to do it. I don't think people realize the amount of money that comes out of New York. A lot of the early days of Bitcoin, I think a lot of that money was coming out of New York too, when it first started to prop it up. Yeah.
That's definitely a vector, man. So you see it very clearly, brother.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think you see it clearly too. I think we've identified the main issues, right? So then the question is, how do we move forward from here? Sure, I'll continue to advocate for having things Monero listed on centralized exchanges, but at the same time also working on getting it listed on decentralized exchanges and building outside of their system. Just doing both, working both ends. And for people listening, like, well, what could I do? What should I do? Buy Monero, use Monero, and advocate for it being on exchanges, decentralized and centralized, and help push the community in a direction where the culture in Monero is to have it listed on exchanges, decentralized and centralized.
That's a good grassroots effort, brother. You should continue with that. The world needs you. Monero needs you.
Thank you, man.
And I don't think people understand how important Monero actually is, because we're entering a phase right now in world history where we're actually very close to the point where these people that run the world, call them small cats of dominant men, they want to create a matrix of control where escape isn't just impossible. It'll be unthinkable. And they're soon going to be coming out with, gold-backed digital currencies. You've seen Tether go heavily into Bitcoin, into gold for the past 3 years. That's roughly around the time I told everyone else, hey, start moving out of Bitcoin and get into gold. That was 2 years ago. And you see they know what's coming. The whole world is looking for a way to transact, especially the BRICS nations, the Eurasian Union, which includes Russia. These are some of among the most heavily sanctioned countries on earth. They're basically in the same position that Iran has been for the past 20 years. This is hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars in commodities that cannot flow between, say, Russia and Africa and China and the entire global south. And these people are actually looking to create their own SWIFT system. This is actually going to happen in the next few years. Everyone's preparing their building blocks. So what we're going to start to see is a world where light and dark work together. And you're going to see this, global south kind of regional, factional, global currency or monetary system start to emerge. It's going to have a lot more in common with Monero and what's considered dark in the West, right? Because basically, at the end of the day, there's the golden circle of Western finance, which presents itself as white, but it's really as evil and as wicked as can possibly be imagined. And then there's everyone else. That's the schism that's forming. So Monero is, going to have to serve both worlds. Both sides will be coming to it. But there should be a whole stable of these solutions. And, one of them is going to become dominant, but that's going to be the one that can actually move in and out and has the best, most user-friendly tools. So that's the race over the next 5 years. All this is going to happen in the next 5 years. We're going to basically, and I'll say it here right now, what you're going to see in the next 5 to 6 years, I believe, is you're going to see Israel come out with a new gold and silver backed currency, backed up with their reserve. That's going to happen because that's actually part of a prophecy. Eschatology might not be the thing for us crypto heads, but the only logical explanation is eschatology, actually, because that's what these people in charge are using to make their decisions. You and me are logical men. We don't believe in any magical hocus from the sky kind of thing. But we're not the ones actually, weaving this whole, trying to turn this machine to face in a particular way. They are, and they believe these things. So everything that we're doing has to be to counter that and to give humanity a refuge. If you want to use that, Mark of the Beast coin, use this. And guess what? It's easy. We've got great tools. You can go here and get started right now. And we, as builders, have to make sure that every single leg of that user journey is accounted for. From every click and every decision someone has to make. That work is so fucking important. All the talking and all the podcasts and all of this and all that doesn't mean shit compared to someone with some product experience walking through the user journey and actually getting someone to do what they need to do, which is why I have so much respect for what you did with XMR Bazaar. So you can see you obviously did all that. They put a lot of love into that, and that's what we need, bro. Honestly, from a business perspective, it all comes down to that. You don't have that, just shut the fuck up, honestly.
Yeah. Thank you, man. And obviously, I love what you're doing with the No One's app and everything you do, and the culture you try to set. Right, you're all about the peer-to-peer economy. You've always been focused on that. One of the earliest to realize that. With what was the first company you had, which was the local Bitcoin? What was that? Paxful, right?
Yeah.
A visionary, right? So yeah, greatly everything you're doing. I'm thinking too. One of the silver linings with the Epstein stuff, as people call Bitcoin, pedo coin or whatever it is, pedophile coin. Is it? It is ridiculous at the end of the day to say that. Did Epstein try to influence? He absolutely did. Did he have some effect on it? Probably did. But if Bitcoin is susceptible to it, any other crypto is just as susceptible, right? It just happened to be the first. It was the one that was worth attacking, that one that was worth trying to co-opt.
Exactly.
And what the realization needs to be is that they're going to try to do that to Monero. They're already trying in different ways. So to be one of these people on the sidelines being like, oh, well, that's the pedo coin now. That's just like really dumb because any crypto is susceptible to that once it gets large enough and they consider it a threat. But I guess what I'm saying here is the silver lining is, Monero is the one that was often cast in the negative light of being, the black market coin, the crime coin. And so maybe this kind of opens up the Overton window a little bit. People, once they get past this and realize, okay, Bitcoin is just a technology. It's not pedo coin. It's just people. Those were just people that were trying to manipulate it and take over it. It kind of changes this thinking, and people kind of come to this realization that none of these things are good or bad. They're technologies, right? Bitcoin is just a technology. Monero is just a technology. It's ridiculous for people to label Monero as the criminal coin. And now it's even more ridiculous in light of the fact that Bitcoin was by far the largest criminal coin, seeing what Epstein's involvement was, right? So if you're gonna call Monero a criminal coin, it's even more ridiculous than calling Bitcoin a criminal coin at this point. And so hopefully just that whole attack vector goes away, where it just becomes ridiculous to call any of these things criminal coin or pedo coin, right? They're just technologies. Like the internet itself is the internet, pedo internet, right? Like obviously the earliest adopters of the internet were some nasty, ugly people doing nasty things. And so I'm just hoping what comes out of this is that attack goes away. People don't stop saying ridiculous things like that once they realize how ridiculous it is.
Yeah, they're never going to stop saying those things. What's happening is though that humanity is getting wiser. We're beginning to understand what this propaganda coming out of the West actually looks like. And we're starting to understand that it's all not just wrong, but exactly wrong. It's always a form of projection. They're saying this is evil, this is bad, then that's what we have to use. That's the best thing. They're saying this religion is evil, this religion is bad, and no, that religion is obviously the truth. They think these people are evil, like they've done that with the Russians. They've done that with Islam. They did that with Bitcoin or anything that challenges their narrative or their control. Humanity is getting stronger. We begin to realize whatever they don't like is what we must gravitate towards, defend, and utilize. That's where it's coming. These liars are going to continue to bark and bark and bark. They never shut up because all they have is this fake money to hire all these fake talking heads just to make as much noise. They're going to be doing that literally to the last man. That's how these fuckers operate. They'll never ever admit, oh yeah, we were just fucking with you. Sorry. No, they're gonna keep doing that until we put the last man down. That's how it is. And that's where the mental strength and the spiritual strength comes in. We as human beings have to just be like, man, we're just fighting pure evil. That's what this is. This is pure evil. We don't want money to be political. It should not be political. But yet money is the most politicized thing on the planet because it's the most powerful thing. It's the ability to, store and exchange value across time and space. It's literally the circulation of the human experiment, right? It's an amazing thing. Of course, they're going to politicize that. Of course, they're going to go after that. So we have to defend it. And we have to build it out. And we have to recognize all of their attacks. That's the job right now, educating every single one around you. Okay, look, you see what they're saying right here? They're saying the exact opposite of the truth. They're basically confirming what we suspected. This is how they lie. This is how we react to their lies. They'll tell 100% of the lie. We can't just come in and say, oh, yeah, no, let's be fair and balanced. They're both sides. No, fuck this, man. These guys are completely fucking wrong and completely evil, and they're projecting their evil onto us. And that's what you have to do. And it works, bro. Like you saw what happened like a month ago when this whole Nigerian Christian genocide thing started. I saw these videos they were making. I'm like, oh man, this is the empire again. And they're saying that most Muslims are genociding Christians, and it's obviously the exact opposite. And I came out and said that all the Nigerian Muslims, which is like 7% of the country, I got like 60,000 new followers across social media. I mean, they were so happy someone came out and advocated for their side. And then after that, it was just expose after expose, people sharing stories, videos, and the whole point was proven. Because I recognized the pattern of deception, I called it out strongly and advocated in the strongest possible terms. Everyone came in and like, yes, finally, that's the whole truth. When you see the whole truth, it's kind of scary. It's like seeing the flash of a knife blade in a fight. Things get serious. But it's actually quite a relief. It's like, oh, someone just gave us the full and whole truth. And then people will get behind you. And that's what we're in right now. What we're doing in crypto is the most important thing in the world. And we have been up against massive odds. Not just the central bankers and all their tools, We're all the greedy, short-minded imbeciles in our space that sucked all the oxygen out of the room with all of their bullshit gambling, speculation, and opened up the path for criminals like CZ to just rob everyone with a smile. Because they were too greedy and stupid, and we're trying to take literally our best tool for breaking out of the matrix and use it to gamble on fucking doggy meat.
Elon Musk didn't do us any favors with that. I will always hold that against him, right? Like, why did he do that? Why did he push everybody towards Dogecoin when there was this finally a breakout among the normies of realizing crypto? I mean, you got to question that. That was, I
mean, he's a total antichrist. He's another fake character they put out there just to mislead us, and he's the one a lot of people fell for. Because I understood all the science stuff he was screaming out was bullshit, because I was so heavily invested in that early in my life. I knew he was a huckster from day one, but people are still now they're finally figuring it out. All of these people in the West that are famous, all Epsteiners. That is the cultural, moral rot that you cannot trust. Literally all of them. So I'm glad we all see that. That's the path
people. For sure. Sorry for the background noise, guys. I hear it, but it's just the nature of today because I'm on the road. I'm actually at the venue, guys. For anybody who's just tuning in now, I have Ulysses over here. Anybody listening to the show probably knows Ulysses. He does all the artwork for the conference. We're at the cafe over here. There's the dome where we're going to be doing all the talks. Back there is the marketplace. We're going to have everybody onboarded this year. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have Ray, the war chief, rallying everybody. He's going to be one of the opening speakers. Super excited for it. And the price is down. But honestly, I think Monerotopia just rocks even better when the price is down. Forces people to get back to basics, right? We're ignoring the thinking in terms of Monero in terms of fiat gains, and just thinking in terms of actually using it as a tool to opt out and live off of it. I wanted to ask you about because I saw you tweeting Simon Dixon. I don't know how well you know him. I've been following for years, and he does say some. He seems to, obviously very base. The guy really seems to has a knack of understanding what's going on in the world in terms of the powers that be and how powerful people corrupt. But what I always found contradictory about him or hypocritical is his disdain for privacy coins, his disdain for Monero. And he's often kind of described privacy coins as being part of the attack on Bitcoin. And I just think, as smart as this guy is, early Bitcoiner, seems to be in it for all the right reasons. Why I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that. Like, why was it when it comes to privacy coins, he talks against it? It's like a little bit of an attack of his own. I don't know. It causes me to lose trust.
Yeah, I feel you, bro, 100%. Look, Simon's a good friend of mine. I have a lot of respect for him. He's a brilliant geopolitical strategist. Few people know how to follow the money as well as he does. So he has amazing insight about things. He's a brilliant man. He's also
100%.
very spiritually strong. He's a very strong person, spiritually speaking. But he's not perfect. I understand his points about the money, but I think the eschatology of things far exceeds the money because these people can make money out of nothing. It's just a control vector for them. Their motivations are not profit-oriented at the very top, right? And as far as the privacy coins, he's still got a bit of that maximalist virus going for him, and I understand that. I had a similar argument in the beginning. I'm like, we need to have all our momentum behind one layer, get that out the door from a very grounded business perspective. But privacy kind of supersedes all of that, because you can't really have a total clearing layer unless there's fungibility, right? I'm not going to argue that point with him. I haven't talked with him about it. I could. There was a recent blow up. He came out and attacked another one of my good buddies, Amir Taki. But in Simon's defense, I connected them together, and he's going to give him time on his show to get his side of the story out. So whatever you're going to say, Dixon's an honorable man, and he's a big man. So
Yeah. I'm definitely not talking trash against him because, like you said, I mean, I see the uber intelligence there, right? I mean, the guy's a very smart guy and seems to be in Bitcoin for all the right reasons. But it's the privacy coin thing that's always gotten me. I've jumped on spaces with him throughout the years here and there, and he's always kind of dismissed it. And he's gotten very defensive when I started asking him questions about it. So yeah, anything you could do, actually, maybe get him to jump on my show, get him to jump on a Monero talk. We'd love to do a Monero talk with him. Obviously would be very respectful, but I just want to get his full understanding as to why he's dismissing a project like Monero. I feel like, given everything I've heard him say, he should be like a pro Monero guy.
Definitely. I'll bring it up to him for sure, bro. Your show is
awesome, man. Awesome, man. Well, listen, Ray. Actually, before we go, maybe you could tell us anything that's coming up with the projects you're working on. Anything exciting that you're working on with the No One's app? Anything you want to get out there to the Monero audience with regards to what you're working on?
Yeah, so with No One's, we had a spot exchange for a while, but because they wouldn't let us actually like officially support Monero on there with our own wallet, we canceled them. And I'm thinking now, should I bring back do a proper spot exchange where we can actually have proper price discovery for Monero and maybe into some of these other suppressed projects like these privacy coins? I would list all coins as well and give them there'll be no manipulation on my exchanges, of course. Does the world really need that? I don't see anyone else doing that, right? So I'm thinking, should I do that or should I not? Does it make sense? So I'm trying to figure that out right now, but we clearly need better price discovery for these highly suppressed coins. Honest price discovery. With No One's, there's a lot coming. We're launching a light app that's going to be a messenger, a purely private messenger built on DarkFi, Dark IRC, and have a built-in VPN as well, which you can pay for with crypto. I think that's a huge win. We need proper VPN, instant messaging, and money all go together. So trying to sneak that out as a light app, that'll be the next version of No One's that'll really, I think, show people the value of cryptography outside of just money. We need to be able to access and communicate, and money is just a form of communication. Besides that, I've got a lot of other big projects. I'm 3D printing a car, which is looking awesome.
I saw that. I saw you tweeting about that.
Yeah, it's looking really good, actually. It's going to be beautiful. Probably the most beautiful car ever. Designed it myself. It's going to be something. If you're in the UK, I can come over and show it to you. But it'll be something. That's an amazing project. Very, very fun. It'll be a platform for new technology, suppressed technologies as well. I'm kind of a closet mad scientist, at least for the past 27 years. I'm also working now on a video game. I want to tell a video game, from the oppressed people's side of the story. Basically, it's a premise. The premise is a bunch of Nazi Muslims from Antarctica take on Israel. How about that, man? Racist as fuck. We don't give a shit. We're getting it all out there, bro. Yeah, man.
For sale for Monero, I'm assuming. That's the only way you're gonna be able to do that one.
Exactly, bro.
It's not gonna get on Steam.
Yeah, it's not getting on Steam, bro. Maybe for 1 hour, bro. We'll see. But yeah, bro, look, everything I'm doing is essentially building an alternative world. We need to reboot civilization. There are certain things that are sacred, like exchanging. For example, in Islam, no kind of sanctions are allowed, ever. Even during war, it's considered economic terrorism. The only thing that is forbidden is selling or buying weapons during times of war with the enemy. But everything else is allowed. In fact, it's considered an attack against God to interfere with any form of trade. They've taken that, it's as natural a right to us as breathing. And they've taken that away. So we have to bring it back. And if we're going to have to rebuild everything from the ground up in order to bring it back, then that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And that's what I'm doing, brother. I'm just taking, my own shot at every little thing with my own hands. And I hope everyone joins me. You're one of those brothers that's done it. You're fully behind Monero. You built an amazing shop for it. You have this, amazing, conference. So you're doing things. And that's why I respect people like you, brother, because you're actually making the building blocks happen every day.
Thank you, man.
squawking.
Thank you, Ben. You too, and greatly appreciate you participating in the conference and the No One's app supporting the conference, and you just supporting it by attending, man. We love having you. You add a lot to the vibe, so greatly appreciate that. I know it's going to be, Monerotopia. I think what it is more than anything, it's a way for people to meet in the meet space and recharge their cypherpunk or crypto anarchist, battery, because there is so much misinformation out there. It's easy to be fooled when you're just on X all day, all the propaganda. But when you're face to face with other people that share these same ideals, there's nothing more refreshing. And then it allows people to leave the conference and continue to fight the fight fully recharged, and capable of withstanding, the attacks. I think that's one of the most important things that comes out of the conference.
Absolutely, brother. It cannot be understated. The importance of maxing out your hit points, jacking up your defense, and getting the best neuroplastic gear and all the buffs that come from knowing, other great warriors in the space. Because you do get buffs when you meet in person. You really do. Those buffs, what it's all about, brother. We're in this for the late game OP character super build, bro. That's what we're in this for.
All right, brother. Well, look forward to see you in a couple of days, man. And we'll recharge together.
Stay strong, brother.
All right, man. Adios. Yep. Cheers. All right. That was awesome. Ray was able to jump up today. We'll see him in a couple of days up here in Mexico City. Right now he's in Tulum. Getting some sunshine and some beach. Kind of jealous in that regard. No beach here in Mexico City. But you'll be recharged in other ways, like I'm saying. Shortwave, are you there? Sunita, are you there? I guess we can move on to the next segment. Do we have anybody that can do news? Or I guess it'll be me.
It'll be you.
All right, if we could kind of run through this fast.
All right, let me play this segment.
It's going to be a little difficult for me to do the news here. I mean, I guess I don't know if I'll even be able to read what you put up on the screen, but we could give it a shot since I'm just on my phone here, guys.
All right, I'm going to play the news segment.
You want to swap over to my phone? You use this to talk. Use the camera, and then you can read off that.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right, can you guys hear me? Yeah, I can't really even see these freaking. Oh, this was just a timeline on basically what we're talking about, Epstein's involvement in Bitcoin. So this post just kind of goes through some of the emails and ties everything together on how Epstein. I'm hearing an echo. Sunita, do you want to mute your mic? Or whoever else is talking. So how Epstein was involved in Bitcoin in the early days from 2011, basically attempting to co-opt by reaching out to the most important people in the space at the time, even people like Adam Back. And so, yeah, I think we spoke about it enough. The overall arching point being, was Epstein involved? He absolutely was. Was he trying to co-opt and manipulate Bitcoin to his advantage? I'm sure he absolutely was. Were these people actually contacted, including, what was it, the MIT, I don't even know what it's called, the MIT group that was funding Bitcoin development in the early days? He was. But the bigger idea or theme here is to realize if not him, it would have been somebody else, right? Bitcoin was always under attack, certainly under attack by different state authorities. Whether Epstein is an arm of some state, he most likely is. This was just one of the attacks, and the fact is, Bitcoin is still standing today. It may have its trajectory may have been affected by the things he's done. Perhaps it'd be further along in terms of being actual peer-to-peer digital cash. And it's a shame that they were able to successfully attack it in that regard. But Bitcoin's still standing. And ultimately, they weren't able to win because the result was we have other cryptocurrencies that came out of the attack, like Bitcoin Cash, like Monero. So they ultimately failed. They Epstein and whoever was behind him attempted to attack and co-opt things. They maybe succeeded to some degree in affecting the trajectory of what Bitcoin is today. But the fact that it's still alive and it's still as big as it is shows that it cryptocurrency works, and it can't be stopped in any easy way. And it allowed for the development of other cryptos like Monero, which are now focused on being what Monero was meant to be. So I would say next story. Not really much more I have to say on that. Everybody's been following that. This was just Simon Dixon talking about the United Nations is losing funding and making the point that United Nations was really always a BS entity used to prop up the dollar and to bring forward globalism. So just interesting that that's happening. And once again, I do think Simon is a great person to follow. Like the war chief was saying, he really does have a knack for understanding how things work, for understanding how corruption works at the highest level. But yeah, I just question why he's not pro privacy coin and why he sees privacy coins as potentially part of the attack on Bitcoin. I think he's flat out wrong when it comes to that. Next story. So here's the Redheaded Libertarian. Sorry, guys, it's really hard for me to read these things. There's the recent bill that was passed to basically get the government back to work, to reopen the federal government. Billions or trillions, I don't even know how much it is anymore at this point, that is now going to be issued by the government. And when you look at the bill, it's pretty interesting where some of this money is going, the things that they fit into this bill. $5 billion in welfare to illegals, $3.5 million to the CIA, $3.3 billion to Israel, another $500 million to Israel, $1.5 billion to Egypt, $2.1 billion to Jordan, $700 million to foreign. So why are billions of dollars of taxpayers' money being put towards these initiatives when the purposes of the bill was to be kind of an America first and support the, American citizens and the federal government? And here they are just sneaking in all these all these other initiatives. Should be no surprise to anyone, but yeah, we continue to see, the same, no matter it's a Democratic president or a Republican president, they continue to pull the same bullshit. In terms of Monero, yeah, all this is bullish for Monero in my mind, ultimately bullish for things like, crypto itself, showing that fiat will continue to fail and we'll need a replacement because we just can't trust the state. I don't think anybody listening to this channel does. And here's just another example of them doing things right in front of us, right in our face. And nobody really being able to do anything about it. The only thing we can do is opt out of their system, ignore them, and begin to use tools like Monero. We can't expect them to start to act appropriately and act responsibly. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that. So next story. Epstein email claims the gold in Fort Knox is completely missing. That's just wild. Just another example of the craziness being exposed, the darkness being exposed. Is this true? Who knows? I'm more open to believing it now more than ever, given what some of the other things we're seeing that's coming out in the Epstein files. So maybe this is part of the craziness that's being revealed. Maybe the money in Fort Knox isn't there anymore. Obviously, Trump was promising, I think, with Elon that they were going to go audit Fort Knox, and then they conveniently stopped talking about that. I mean, what is so hard about doing that? It would probably be like the easiest thing to do, right? Just show up at a building, where all this gold is supposed to be. They could put on a big show, and they could show how much money is there. I don't know why this guy's taking pictures of us over here. Yeah, so to be determined if it is in fact the case that the gold is not in Fort Knox. I don't know. We could get Bawdy's opinion on another day of what that would mean effectively.
Would not be surprising at all.
And once again, bullish for Monero, right? Bullish for true crypto. We can't rely on the state for anything, but what we can rely is on decentralized cryptocurrencies. Hello. Okay. Next story. Next story. FerrySwap is coming soon. FerrySwap is a Monero fiat swap interface built on top of Sarai, enabling direct cross-chain swaps without centralized. I can't read this. So FerrySwap is coming down the pipe, and it's going to once Sarai Dex launches. So very exciting to see that. But we're still waiting on Sarai. Patiently waiting. So I don't know. Maybe out of the Monerotopia conference, we'll hear some updates. Luke won't be here, but maybe we'll get some updates anyway from others. So patiently waiting for Sarai. Once it does launch, looks like FerrySwap will be one of the interfaces that will allow people to use it more conveniently. So exciting to see.
Speaking
but
of,
I'll be.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say exciting to see, but I'll be even more excited when I actually see Sarai Dex launch.
I was going to say, speaking of exchanges, is Woodser going to be there and give an update this year?
No, Woodser will not be here this year.
Okay.
So he will not be in attendance giving an update on Havino. So no Woodser. Sunita, next story. This Fluffypony just talking about Monero CCS for improving bulletproofs. So exciting to see. Monero is obviously always continuing to evolve. There's a fundraiser right now. It's currently funded at 27%. And they're looking to raise funds to improve the efficiency of bulletproofs. We've seen some amazing improvements in the past for bulletproofs, for range proofs, the first one being bulletproofs. The guy's name, I think, was Benedict Buns. It was one of my earlier Monerotopia shows. This kid out of Stanford, genius that came about and figured out how to make range proofs more efficient through the development of bulletproof cryptography. And now we're looking to make even further improvements by making bulletproofs themselves more efficient. So very exciting to see Monero continuing to evolve and improve and become more efficient. Go fund the fundraiser. Let's get these guys funded. Next story. This is a story on Incognito Market. It was a dark market. Monero was one of the cryptos that was used on it, and it was taken down. The guy was caught out of Taiwan. And honestly, I can't read the text there. I don't know if you guys can read it. Sunita, if you want to read any of it. But yeah, I would just go to the next story. So
That's it. That's the last link you gave me.
okay. So yeah, we can leave it at that. Sorry guys, I can't really do a can you mute your microphone? I can't really do a normal news week here because I'm at the venue today. I'm not on a laptop. But yeah, we all know what's going on in the world right now. Craziness with Epstein, craziness with Epstein being involved in Bitcoin, craziness with the government continuing to print more fiat, and Monero chugging along as it always does and growing day by day. So we'll leave it at that for the news. We can try to do viewers on stage. I don't know if we have anybody that wants to jump up.
Yeah, I'll just play the segment first. The Monerotopia Viewers on Stage segment is sponsored by XMR Bar. Play dice with Monero using a privacy-respecting and provably fair algorithm. Go to xmr.bar. As always, verify and never trust.
Please gamble responsibly in accordance with the laws of your jurisdiction.
If you need to pull me out of the stage so that other people can talk, you can do that.
All right. Yeah. If people just want to take it away from here, because I'm kind of in the background, go ahead, guys. Have at it.
Yeah.
Ramsey, yes.
I don't have anything to say. Yeah, I mean, good show today. I'll be having Monerotopia. So.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Excited to hang out in person. Yeah, that's what I'm focused on right now. I'm glad we were able to do the show today, just to continue to get the word out about the conference and whatnot.
Is there gonna be a show like next weekend, like while the event is going on?
No, I mean the show is basically the 4-day conference that will be streamed, so it's going to be a show that goes on for 4 days straight, starting on Thursday.
Yeah,
that will be the Monerotopia show.
Yeah.
By the way, do you guys have the schedule worked out? Because I've seen that just the bare bones has been uploaded to the website so far.
Yeah, we do have the schedule pretty much worked out. Obviously, subject to change. First day will be opening talks, people talking about why any of this stuff matters in the first place. Like people like Youssef getting up on stage, hyping everybody up as to why we should even care about untraceable digital cash. Second day will be Monero Day, all Monero from 8:30 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, ending with the Monero panel. That's going to be an epic day. We have a lot of amazing people involved in that. Obviously, we have Monero devs, but I'm very excited that we have CypherStack attending. Diego is going to be emceeing that day. He's agreed to do that, which I'm really excited for. Number one, gives me a break, allows me to do other things during the conference. And number two, he's just kind of the best man for the job, given that has such an intimate familiarity with Monero and Monero technology. I'm sure he'll be doing great intros for the speakers, asking all the right questions. So Monero Day is going to be absolutely epic. That's on Friday. And then Saturday, the first half of Saturday is going to be Spanish Talks Day. So that will be for the locals to come into the Dome and learn about Monero. We have 5 speakers, I think, for Spanish Day. We might maybe we'll have a panel. I don't know if we're able to fit that in. And then in the afternoon, all afternoon will be Privacy Coin Day. So we'll have Xano, we'll have Firo, we'll have, actually Beldex isn't going to be giving a talk. We'll have, who am I missing, guys? Help me out here. Let me see. Let me see. Hold on.
You have Dr. K from Quai Network.
Dr. K from Quai Network. Very excited that he'll be there.
Litecoin, Xano.
Oh, yeah. We'll have Litecoin, Pirate Chain,
Bitmain. Dash.
We'll have Joel from Dash. So you need to maybe use your headphones or something. I don't know why every time you talk, there's an echo. So, yeah, that will be Privacy Coin Day on Saturday evening, all evening long, ending with a Privacy Coin panel with all the speakers. So that's where we'll kind of debate the pros and cons of each project. Looking forward to, for example, hearing the Quai Network guy talking with Francisco face-to-face, right, about how to improve Monero's proof of work in light of the recent attack we've seen on Monero, things like that. So it's going to be very interesting. Talks all day on Saturday and Saturday evening. And then Sunday, we have another full day. And that's going to be, we're going to be focused on really adoption. So rounding out the day or the entire conference, talking about adoption. We're going to be talking about Monero atomic swaps, I think we have in there. Sunita, who else we have on there? I can't read this and look at it at the same
You have
time.
the Egan Wallet guys.
Oh no, Egan Wallet guys are on Friday. They're not on Sunday.
Okay, so that has to be switched. WebPipe. You have Sean O'Brien.
Oh no, maybe we did move them to Sunday. Right, we moved them to
them.
Sunday because then we're doing Egan Wallet guys. We're doing somebody else who's talking about atomic swaps. I think we're doing. Are we doing Maya protocol that day? So we're doing like the decentralized exchanges and swaps. We have Ruben only because he can't talk on Saturday because of time restrict. Because of he's on the other side of the world, so we moved him to Sunday morning. We have people talking about privacy tech. We have Frank that's going to be talking about tools to use. Who else am I missing there?
Alex.
Oh, Alex from Maya Protocol.
Maya said that.
Yeah.
Then we have Simple Chat, the founder of Simple Chat.
Simple X.
Simple X Chat.
Yeah, it's going to be another huge day. So we're ending strong. There is going to be no slow day at Monerotopia. Every day is going to be literally jam packed. Obviously, guys, I'm sure people are going to take breaks and go out and hang out in the marketplace. We're going to have, we're trying to have 2 breaks a day. But the only way we can fit in all these talks is if we fit them in back to back. Sunita, I'm still getting echo. I don't know what you're doing there on that end.
I put on my headphones.
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the schedule.
All right.
I don't know. Anybody else have anything to say? I mean, we'll see you guys soon. Anybody else have anything to say on stage? Who's up there? I can't see who's up there.
Adequate resistance, Ulysses.
Do you have the VIP dinner day picked out?
Yes, good question. So VIP dinner will be Saturday night.
Yeah, I'll be sending out emails soon to all the VIP attendees.
And it starts at noon on Friday?
Starts at noon on Friday. I think we open the doors.
No,
I mean, on Thursday. Oh my God, on Thursday, yes. Thursday. It's 4 days, not 3 days. So I think we open the doors at 10, right? If people want to come and get registered, is that correct?
Yeah, check-in is at 10 a.m., 10 to 12, and then 12 noon. That's when we kick off the conference.
Yeah, it's the only way we could fit all the talks in, guys. We'll have workshops going nonstop. We have a lot of great workshops. We have Nim giving a workshop. We have Logos Network giving a workshop. We have Frank from WebWipe giving a workshop. We have a Monero 101 workshop in English and in Spanish. Who else do we have giving workshops? Is Zano giving a workshop? They might do that. We might even add more depending on who wants to give them. So we'll have nonstop workshops happening at the same time the talks are happening. So it's going to be jam packed. We're doing the workshops upstairs this year in the loft area. So hopefully people will know that and they'll know to go there. I'll repeat it when I'm on stage, on the main stage, so people know, so they don't miss out on the workshops. And yeah.
What kind of merch we got? So I'm really excited personally because I went to the first Monerotopia in Miami, and I think that was only 1 day, right? And I haven't been to a Monerotopia since. So this will be the first one since that one, I guess, 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's grown quite a bit, brother. You shall see. That first one was kind of a test. That first one was amazing, though, because I guess number one, because it was the first, and we had so many people come out and help us out that were local to the area. And we experimented with the marketplace there. We only had a couple of vendors at the time, but it was the beginning of the concept. We had some people there selling shroom chocolates and a couple of other things. But now we have a vast marketplace with like 100 vendors. And now we have, instead of, I think the first one was 2 days, but now instead of 2 days, we have 4 days. So it's definitely evolved and grown since. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
That's great to hear. So wait, 4 years from now, if it's growing at a 4x every 4 years, then we'll have a 2-week long Monerotopia in 4 years.
Well, like I'd say a 2x every 4 years.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean that's the next discussion. Where will the next one be? I keep saying this is going to be the last one in Mexico, and then I always do it here again because number one, the venue. Honestly, guys, the venue it literally is an oasis. It really is a Monerotopia. So it's hard to find another place where we can mimic a real world Monerotopia. We have the marketplace built in. The weather is beautiful. I don't want to knock on wood. The weather is perfect, and just the atmosphere here. It's this place.
You don't want an overly corporate vibe, right? Because I feel like what I've seen is this is kind of like it's Utopia, like it's more like a kind of an idealistic, almost solar punk kind of vibe. Whereas,
absolutely,
like, if you just had it at like the convention center in whatever
never,
city,
never
corporate kind of vibe. So yeah,
and honestly,
it will always be built into a city. Right. So it will always be in a place where we'll have a natural marketplace built into it, not some fake marketplace that we bring to a convention center. We'll have to find another place where, maybe Argentina, maybe Buenos Aires, where they're already doing marketplaces outdoors, and we onboard all those people and we do it at a big restaurant or even in a public space. Maybe Puerto Rico, because we have some connections down there, and we think maybe we could pull this concept off there.
That would be the U.S. though.
That would be the U.S. I mean, we're not, I'm not totally against doing it in the U.S. There are benefits to not doing it in the U.S. It certainly makes it easier for a lot of people to attend, but not opposed either. So we could go anyway. I mean, we'll get feedback. I constantly ask people what their thinking is at the conference, see what people think.
The other thing is you might honestly just keep it in Mexico City permanently. You might just make it a permanent fixture there.
Yeah, I mean, there are advantages. It gets easier and easier every year to do it. Obviously, it's never that easy, but doing it in the same venue certainly makes it easier. And then it also just grows Monero here in Puerto Roma, in this place that's open 7 days a week. They don't have a market here every week, but every weekend, pretty much, they have the marketplace going. A lot of the same vendors that end up coming in and out of this place. They're becoming very familiar with Monero. Like I've said earlier, all the vendors this year are basically getting onboarded right away because the word has spread. They know it's not like some scam. They know that they'll make money if they accept Monero. They know that their friends that accepted Monero in past have now more pesos because of it. And so there is a temptation to continue growing Monerotopia here and making it a permanent fixture. Definitely shortwave, but the novelty factor is nice. Doing it somewhere else. I know Sunita probably wants to go somewhere else. I'm interested as well, just so we could be somewhere else and enjoy a different environment. People like novelty. So
yeah, fair enough. The only reason I brought that up is just because of the fact that you've done it there enough times, and as you said, the vendors know you. Like the venue is getting easier to work with because you have those pre-existing relationships. You don't have to try to force things each time.
Exactly. I think we have a shot at making it organic in Buenos Aires. I think we have a shot at doing that. I mean, crypto's so big there now. They're all accepting stable coins, so it's not much of a leap for them to accept Monero. They all know fiat is a scam. So I think that's a good potential place to do it at. Colombia, maybe. We got our coffee for gratuitous from Colombia. Maybe we do it there. Who knows? We got options, guys. We got the whole world.
I love the idea of doing it in South America. I think South America's.
I love the vibe here. Yeah.
If nothing else, you could do like a bounce between where like some years you do it in Mexico City and then some years you do it in Buenos Aires or something like that.
Yeah. What I do know is we're definitely going to take a break after this one. So, guys, enjoy it. This takes a lot out of us, a lot out of me and Sunita. You have no idea It really does. It puts a lot of stress on us personally. It puts a lot of stress in our relationship. I'm not, just being honest with everyone right now. It puts a lot of stress on our family. The end result is always good. That's why we come back. It's kind of like having a baby, having a kid, right? You go through that pregnancy, which is the most stressful thing you could do. And then a couple of years later, you forget about it all because it's so magical and beautiful. You wanna give birth to another one, and you forget all the negatives. But as you're about to go through that labor, which we're approaching it right now, it is a lot of stress, and it's. You would think it goes away with each one, but it's not, because you're just dealing with so many people. There's so many unknowns. You want everything to work out. You know that people are relying on this. People are flying down here. Sponsors are paying a lot of money. People are taking times out of their lives. So you want to make it as good as it possibly can be. And we just all that stress comes into us. So we need a break after this. We took a 1.5-year break after the last one, and that's what allowed us to do this. We had a baby in the meantime. I guess I might as well say now we have another baby on the way. So we're gonna need another break. So it's probably gonna be another 1.5 years to do the next one. So that doesn't mean be sad. That means enjoy this one, right? So this one hasn't passed yet. It's coming up. All the more reason to fully enjoy this. If you didn't, it's not too late. If you didn't buy a plane ticket yet, you still can. Come on down here. Mexico City is like one of the easiest places to just like grab a plane ticket and arrive at. You literally don't need a hotel to show up here. You could literally walk in. You'll find a place to stay. Honestly, there's so many options within walking distance of the venue. Obviously, if you can stay at an Airbnb with friends, that's great. But even if you can't, there's cheap hotels. There's even cheaper like motels. I don't know if that's not for the faint of heart, but there's tons of options. So it's not too late. Grab a plane ticket, come on down, because we're probably not going to do another one for at least 1.5 years. Unless you want to see the Tuman clan fall apart, and I don't want to see that happen. Sorry, guys.
No, we don't want that. You need to. Like, the conference is great, but it's definitely not worth having issues like that in your family. Absolutely not.
Yes. And it's only natural. But yeah, that being said, at the end of the day, we love it. We look back, we enjoy it just as much as everybody else does. I'm extremely excited about it. Every time is like the first time, in not in just the bad ways, but the good ways. Get very excited for it. So it's going to be amazing, guys. And like I said, jump on it, because it's not going to happen again for another 1.5 years. And if you can't come, you can tune in. We'll be streaming it live this year. And please spread the word on that too. All this great content that's going out there. I see all these people that, are tweeting about Monero's price, blah, 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 blah. Like put your energy towards spreading Monero adoption, spreading the Monero conference, right? Now's the time. So when it's live, spend those 4 days tweeting about it, writing posts on it on Reddit, posting on social media. I'm going to be pushing that to people here as well when I'm on stage, telling them, take videos of the speakers on stage and tweet it out. I know everybody's privacy. You don't have to take a video of your friend that you just met that doesn't want to be on camera saying I'm at Monerotopia, but take a video of the speakers, take a video of the marketplace, let everybody see how magical this is. Monero people aren't really the social media types. I'm asking, do it for purposes of growing Monero. You don't have to give up all your OPSEC. You don't have to tell everybody who you are.
Do you have
but push things.
Do you have like a specific hashtag that you're promoting, like #Monerotopia26 or something?
Yeah,
like
just
that?
Monerotopia26. Monerotopia26. Good question.
Because the reason I ask that is because you might want to put that up somewhere so that people know kind of what to tag with.
Yeah, okay, that's a good idea. We'll do that. Yeah, and spread the virtual conference, guys. Get people watching it next week. I think we'll have obviously a lot of viewers. Monero's hot right now. We all know it. It's one of the only cryptos that reached a new all-time high during this bear market, or during the bull market. So a lot of new eyes, fresh eyes on it. Now that they got excited about the price. Now let's get them excited about the principles, and that's what these 4 days will do.
I need a refresh because I feel like the news has been so cyberpunk dystopian the past month with the Epstein files and this AI wave and everything. So now it's okay, we gotta have the alternative vision.
For sure. Ulysses, I know you wanted to potentially present something. You want to share your screen?
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, I just posted up posters and flyers for the event in the Monerotopia on Telegram. So there's a couple PDFs, several designs in English and Spanish. So if anybody wants to print out a few and share them with people and all that, go for it. And the thing I want to share is a big thanks to Elusive and the guys at XMR Bar. And I want to present a poker deck that I made for them. So this would be a custom deck that I made for them. So hopefully this will work. You can show it. I haven't shown them up the close details on everything yet. So yeah, this will be the card back. And then did custom art for the entire set. So we've got, I hope this is reversed, but anyways, yeah, there we go. We've got all the ace cards, XMR Bar there. Again, thanks to those guys for helping out with that. It's a fun project, and I'm glad I got to do it with them. So yeah. All the aces.
Thank you for the amazing designs. They are amazing. Thank you.
So, and here's the thing. Unfortunately, shipping to Mexico is it's a bit of a bear. So I was hoping to have 100 decks at the event to show. However, they are being produced. They are produced, and they are being shipped to me. So anybody at the event, I'll have a limited amount of these available because some of them, of course, are going to the XMR Bar team. So yeah, I just had a lot of fun coming up with all these designs. I tried to make all the suits kind of a similar vibe, and I had a lot of fun working on all of that as well. So yeah, this is the art that's going to be on those cards, and yeah, thanks again to the XMR Bar people. It's a lot of fun doing something like this. I like doing this kind of design work. So
beautiful, man. Ulysses puts his heart and soul into the artwork that he does for Monerotopia. We greatly appreciate it. The banner, the backdrop for the main stage might be my favorite. I don't want to insult past ones because he's done an amazing job on those as well. The one that was a puzzle last year was really fantastic. But I really love the one you did this year that displays the marketplace. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And again, the main point of this thing is to say this is about using it for exchange. Right? It's not about hodling. It's not about number go up. This is the currency that I right. And so this is my way of putting energy and my work into building that world that I want to see. Because it's just all the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world, they're going to keep doing their thing. They're going to keep printing fiat. That's great. I'm opting out. I'm just going to be doing my own thing. And yeah, it'll be full of cool designs and things like that. We can definitely.
We always talk about grassroots. This show, Monerotopia, is grassroots. The conference is grassroots, and part of what makes it work, and the proof that we have that it's working in terms of a grassroots movement is that it attracts artists like Ulysses, right? Ulysses isn't into working for some corporate coin, right? He's found his way to Monero because of the principles that it exhibits. And because Monero is so permissionless and it's so welcoming to somebody like him, who is a creative person, who is an artist. So, you look at these things, guys, and oh, that's cool artwork. I mean, it's a very bullish indicator that Monero attracts beautiful creative minds like Ulysses, who could be, focusing his attention elsewhere. we pay him to do these things, but you know, it's not that much money, right? It's more the what he's getting out of it personally, and the contribution that he wants to make to the Monero project. So be appreciative of that and be excited about that, because that you don't see that in too many Monero projects, if any, where you have people stepping up, volunteering their time or doing things where they're not even making that much money as they do it, and really just doing it out of the love of the project itself. And it's these creative efforts, these artistic efforts that are going to really allow us to spread things and allow Monero to be, you know, grow in grassroots efforts. One of the things we're doing is after we hang up today and we're done with today's show, we're going to go print up a bunch of posters that Ulysses made. I don't know, Ulysses, if you could even show that. It's a beautiful poster. And we're going to go hang them up, paste them up on walls throughout all of Mexico City. Might hire some locals to do the same. So just to add to the grassroots component of it. And hopefully that will attract more locals. So Monerotopia will have a real presence here in Mexico City.
Yeah, it's going to be fun walking around, putting up stickers for the event and all that kind of stuff, and just doing like street art, street art, like
yeah, and it helps. You know? It helps. You know, people see it. People see it, and then they find their way. They find their way to the real thing. All these little things add up.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. Was the puzzle ever solved from last year?
I don't think enough people knew it was a puzzle, frankly. I'll repost all that artwork up in the on the XMR Bazaar forums. I see there's a couple other people that are fans of puzzles. I think Aaliyah has a few puzzle posts as well, so I'll share some of that too. This is going to be the VIP mug design. So if you show up and you get a VIP ticket, you're going to get this as your mug. So, and again, just this whole vibe of, you know, showing up and it's the market. Like this is what we want for crypto, right? You show up to a market, just, you know, buy whatever you need. And if you want tacos and things like that, then yeah, it's there. Yeah, if you want choco hongos and all that good stuff, it's here. You know, just gotta show up and talk about the. I think this is going to be the. That's going to be a mock-up of the back design. So this will be the swag for everybody when they show up. And yeah, I just had loads of fun doing all this stuff. So. And here's going to be the GA mug. So. And then all the hats will have this design as well. So as you're walking around the market and you're keeping an eye out for all the vendors that will happily exchange goods and services for Monero, hopefully they'll be wearing these hats with these cool little designs that lets everybody know. It's like, oh, they know what Monero's about.
All right. Well, is there anybody else who wants to say something? Otherwise, we could just go ahead and end it.
Yeah, we can just close out. Anybody else want to say something?
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Hold your
Nope. Okay.
You're muted. No, I think Doug wants to say something, but he's muted.
Yeah, I'll quickly show people the marketplace. Obviously, our marketplace is going to be a different, but you'll get the vibe. So here's the current marketplace. I haven't walked through it yet today. We'll see if there's any vendors.
I wonder if any of the vendors are already there accepting Monero.
It's certainly possible. So yeah, this is what the marketplace would be like. Same exact vibe. Oh yeah, I know this guy. He accepts Monero. But yeah, they'll all be accepting Monero during the conference. And we'll leave it at that. See you guys in person on Thursday.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Have a good one.
Adios.
Oh wait, hold on. I gotta play the. Why isn't the outro here?
All right, we'll see everybody down in Monerotopia, right?
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube, ODYSEE, Rumble, Twitch, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on X or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.